and cheer, a chasm among their brethren dear. Can you not see the beam in thine own eye, before casting judgment from on high? In God we trust, let this be our creed, to build bridges not walls, to plant love's seed. For in the embrace of unity, we find the strength to coexist, you see. Instead of seeking peace, you summon strife. You revel in chaos, you crave the fight. But there is but one race, the human race, and in unity's light lies our true might. In God we trust, let this be our creed, to build bridges not walls, to plant love's seed. For in the embrace of unity, we find the strength to coexist, you see. You see. Let us lay down our arms, our words of war, and seek the path of peace once more. For every soul a brother, a sister. In the grand tapestry of life, we are all but one. You serve the schemes of those who profit from discord, from turmoil, from endless pain. But united we stand, divided we fall. In unity we shatter the chain. In God we trust, let this be our creed, to build bridges not walls, to plant love's seed. For in the embrace of unity, we find the strength to coexist, you see. You see. Guardian angels watch from above, guiding us with the wings of love. They whisper peace into our hearts, and show us how to mend the parts. In God we trust, let this be our creed, to build bridges not walls, to plant love's seed. For in the embrace of unity, we find the strength to coexist, you see. You see. Together let us heal the wounds of a world torn by needless feuds. For in the light of love's embrace, we find our true and sacred place. Together let us heal the wounds of a world torn by needless feuds. For in the light of love's embrace, we find our true and sacred place. In God we trust, let this be our creed, to build bridges not walls, to plant love's seed. For in the embrace of unity, we find the strength to coexist, you see. You see.
to say they unafraid.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tori Sess Show. Today is the 16th of January, 2026. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, but it's just not the right time. But there are a few things that I do want to talk about. So, as I was getting myself ready, and Angela was really helpful in putting up all the videos on the software that we use to stream today, and I'm making an executive decision, to just not talk about two topics that I wanted to talk about. Now, funny thing is, I learned and heard this, and I thought it was important because it's been an ongoing theme today, is that people keep trying to explain themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding or taking whatever you say out of context. So stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Not confused people, not curious people, but committed people. The ones that have already made up their mind who you are, what you mean, what you stand for, what box you belong in before you even open your mouth. Now, explanation doesn't enlighten them. It feeds them. They don't listen to understand. They listen to distort, to clip, to screenshot, to weaponize tone and intent. Every clarification becomes raw material for the next misrepresentation. Now, this is actually the sickness of our moment. We are surrounded by internet personas and physical world actors who perform misunderstanding as a strategy. They cosplay confusion while they're sharpening knives behind their backs. They demand explanations not because they lack information, but because they want control over the narrative, control over your energy, and control over the frame in which you're allowed to exist. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The constant need to explain yourself is not a personal flaw, it's a systemic trap. It's the same trap now driving the AI governance war. AI didn't appear in a vacuum. It arrived in a world already addicted to over-explanation, endless justification, and bureaucratic theater. World where every statement must be defended 12 times against people who never intended to engage honestly in the first place. So what did institutions do when AI showed up? And we're talking, this is over 20 years ago. They did what they always do. They tried to explain it to death, then regulate it to death, then moralize it to death. The AI governance war isn't about safety. It's about narrative dominance. Who gets to define what intelligence is? Who gets to decide what intent looks like? And who gets to label dissent as harm, curiosity as risk, and autonomy as misalignment? The same people who commit to misunderstanding humans are now positioning themselves as the interpreters of machines. That, my friend, should terrify you. AI doesn't need an endless explanation to function. Humans don't either. What's being fought over is who's allowed to speak without being endlessly interrogated, softened, diluted, and reframed for approval. Who is trusted by default, and who must constantly prove that they're not a threat? Every time you feel exhausted from explaining yourself, you're brushing up against the same force, a system that survives by forcing clarity from the powerless while granting ambiguity to itself. a system that turns good faith into liability. So, I guess being still that it's January of 2026, maybe this year you can stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Not because you're done communicating, but because communication requires reciprocity. And without that, explanation isn't dialogue, it's extraction. And to be fair, the future isn't going to be won by whoever explains best. It'll be won by whoever refuses to let bad actors define the terms of understanding in the first place. And that is something all of you should abide by. Now, considering I'm doing a pivot, I guess I should talk about the Insurrection Act. But before I do it, I'm thinking how I'm going to do this so I don't get dinged. I'm thinking. Let's listen to what the president has to say. Just one second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you explain how your great healthcare plan will impact Americans' health insurance premiums?
It's going to be it is a tremendous plan. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan. And we're going to get tremendous reductions, as you know, through, if you look at medicines and prescription drugs, they're going to come down by numbers that have never been seen before. And we're doing that by most favored nations. And other nations, whoever pays the lowest in the world, that's what we're going to pay. Right now we're paying sometimes 10 times higher than other nations. So we have favored nations. That's been approved. Other nations have, for the most part, agreed to it. And they had no choice, otherwise we were going to put tariffs on them.
President Trump,
the healthcare plan that we're coming, the money's going to be paid directly to the people. So it goes directly, not to the companies, not to the insurance companies. It's going to go directly to the people, and the people are going to buy their own health care. They'll get much better health care at a much reduced
Pull
out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. If it doesn't lead
Well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So yeah, we're talking to NATO.
Mr. President,
commit to not militarily engage a NATO partner.
I don't talk about that.
Mr. President,
Commit to not attacking a NATO partner.
You urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar
Well, we're
for
going to see.
intervention
As you
changed?
know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday. And I greatly respect the fact that they canceled that.
Mr. President, Prime Minister Carney is in China. How do you see the deals Canada and China have just signed, trade deals between the two partners?
Well, it's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
President Trump is doing an election in Venezuela.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Yesterday you accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you know, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again.
Maria Machado said that election was stolen. President Trump.
Say it.
What's the trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? What are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it, but if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
President Trump called Machado a very nice person. He said the meeting went well. Why align with Delcy Rodriguez and the remnants of the Maduro regime and not with Machado, who has the support of the Venezuelan people?
Well, if you ever remember a place called Iraq where everybody was fired, every single person, the police, the generals, everybody was fired, and they ended up being ISIS. Instead of just getting down to business, they ended up being ISIS. So I remember that. But I'll tell you, I had a great meeting yesterday by a person who I have a lot of respect for, and she has respect, obviously, for me and our country. And she gave me her Nobel Prize. But I'll tell you what, I got to know her. I never met her before, and I was very, very impressed. She's a really, this is a fine woman.
Where are you going to March for Life? The March for Life is next week.
Yes.
And some pro-lifers are worried about your support for the Hyde Amendment. What do you tell them?
Well, you know what I tell them? You're going to hear about it because I just taped a beautiful piece for them, and they're going to play it. And those are great people. I want to tell you, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
So, first things first, as you can see, our president is explaining. They're not there to listen. They're there for sound bites. They're there to extract. No matter what he says, right? They're going to distort it and they're going to make it whatever they want. Okay? So, this is why I say, stop trying to explain yourself to people that are committed to misunderstanding you. Once you actually live by that, your life is extremely peaceful. And right now, as all of us are in social media, obviously, it's a lot harder to not act upon it. That's what I want to say. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the insurrection. I want to take my time with this and walk it all the way through with you because it's one of those moments where a trap is not what people think. So today I'm going to show to you one of multiple meetings that happened yesterday. So yesterday, out of the blue, all of the domestic terror cells that I've been observing for years, and so has my counterpart and, other people as well. I mean, me and my counterpart have been doing this for over a decade and are really high in the structure of leadership. Observed one thing, that all of them were activated at the same time yesterday to have calls, Zoom calls. We're talking every single different affinity group. And here's the weird thing. They all did it at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Obviously, we have enough computers and we have enough AI to be able to pull it off, to watch all of them. And the most important ones that have former CIA, former ODNI, former federal officials, and active duty and reservists that are still in the military and people that are currently working within our federal agencies, organizing uprising. And it is extremely imminent. And obviously, the Sunrise Movement. So what tickled us weird, and the discussion yesterday was like, what the fuck? Why are all of them coordinating to have a call at the same time? When they all talked about the same thing. I mean, we were in the meetings where the leaders that train the leaders of all of these groups were discussing. We had people that were just taking Maria Stefan's templates and redoing them. They were discussing recruitment objectives. And I'm going to put a semicolon on that just for a second, because I want to continue with this Insurrection Act. So the funny thing is, the common theme among all of them was to ensure that there's enough unrest that the president calls for the Insurrection Act. Now, we have a lot of people on the right doing the same thing too. And so, I mean, many people have done it before. But everyone keeps talking about the Insurrection Act as if it's some switch that you flip and suddenly the military is in charge, as if tanks roll in and civilian authority evaporates. I'm going to tell you, that's a huge misconception, and it's the fault of the internet that makes it such. And that misconception is not accidental. See, the Insurrection Act doesn't transfer power to the military. It does the exact opposite. It places the military under direct domestic command of the president. That overrides governors, overrides local consent, and overrides the political firewall that normally keeps federal force at arm's length from internal unrest. Now, the president doesn't lose his authority by invoking it, he concentrates it. And that's precisely why it's dangerous in a very specific and very modern way. Now, here's the conniving part, the part that people don't say out loud. If you want to remove a president, especially one who already exists in a cloud of permanent suspicion or on the attack, that they're constantly attacking him, you don't do it by opposing him openly. You maneuver him into a position where every move he makes confirms the narrative already built around him. You don't need to become a tyrant. You need him to look like one long enough for institutional mechanisms to activate themselves reluctantly for the good of the republic, to stabilize the situation. Now, for all of you, think about it for a second. How many of these idiots do we have in Congress right now that are all, sorry, I need to go crisscross applesauce because this is like some serious conversation we're having here. So, how many of you recall how many times that we have Republicans that actually meet with our president, talk with our president, sing his tune, but then when it comes to voting, they totally disregard what he's requested? Now, think of that for a second in the back of your mind. So, invoking the Insurrection Act is a gift to such a strategy. Because the moment it's invoked, the conversation stops being about riots, unrest, or public safety, and it becomes about legitimacy. Every federalized deployment becomes a camera angle. Every soldier on a street corner becomes a symbol. And every order becomes a constitutional Rorschach test. And here's the key detail most people miss. The Insurrection Act is legal, but the legality does not equal political survivability. Law and narrative are no longer aligned in modern conflict. We all know this. The narrative wins. So why would think of it this way? What do you think? Why would both sides push for it? Because both sides are playing different games on the same board. One side sees the act as a blunt instrument to restore order. The other side sees it as a lever. If the president invokes it, they don't have to prove malice. They only have to prove instability. They only have to argue that the situation now requires guardrails, oversight, emergency review, or temporary transfers of authority. You don't remove a president by force anymore. You suffocate him with process until the public is told this is all very unfortunate, but it's absolutely necessary. And no, this does not mean the military wants to remove him. That's a childish way of reading into things. Even though we do have very high-ranking military officials that are currently serving in our government that are colluding with people that you will see later on as I stream to cause civil unrest and overthrow the government. And frankly, saying that, the military wants to overthrow the president is pushed by people who don't understand how modern civil military relations actually work. The U.S. military does not seek power. It seeks insulation. Its institutional instinct is to stay out of politics and not to enter it, allegedly. But we all know all our generals are politicians. They all have ambitions. And they all have these side MIC, organizations where they rake in money, federal taxpayer dollars, and they're quite mad now with what Doge did. But let me tell you an uncomfortable truth. The military can still be used as terrain, even if it doesn't want to be a player. So if the president invokes the act, the military is placed in an impossible position. Obey lawful orders. There was a reason they did that video. Yes. But now every action is politically radioactive. Any restraint is painted as weakness. Any firmness is painted as authoritarianism. Either way, the presidency bleeds legitimacy. You see how that goes? And the military doesn't seize control. It becomes the visible edge of a political knife wielded elsewhere. Now, What we're experiencing is unconventional warfare, not the kind with uniforms and borders, but the kind that targets perception, timing, and institutional reflexes. The goal is not to win a battle, it's to force a cascade, invoke the act, trigger outrage, trigger litigation, trigger congressional intervention, trigger emergency hearing, trigger internal fractures. You don't need a coup when you can create a constitutional fog so thick that power quietly migrates away from the person holding it. And that's why the loudest voices demanding invocation should be treated with suspicion, especially when they claim it's the only way to save democracy. Democracy doesn't usually need emergency powers to save itself. Institutions reach for those when they want to reassert control without admitting they've already lost narrative dominance. So when I hear people begging for the Insurrection Act, I don't hear confidence. I hear impatience. I hear actors who believe chaos is now more useful than restraint. And I hear a familiar pattern from every modern hybrid conflict. Push the leader into the most legally defensible but symbolically catastrophic choice, and then act shocked when the consequences unfold. Have we not seen that before? You see where I'm going with it? Have you not seen that before? So the question isn't whether the president can invoke it. The question is who benefits if he does, and who gets to decide afterward that the situation he was responding to is now proof that he should no longer be trusted to respond at all. Now, I want to stay in this, the same type of frame as we walk this a little bit carefully, because the mechanism here is subtle and only works because it wears the costume of legality the entire time. Let's start with the core fact that matters to most. Invoking the Insurrection Act is lawful, period. We know that. It's explicitly lawful. It's not by itself impeachable. No statute says if the president invokes this, he can be removed. That's important because removal never comes from the act itself. It comes from what the act enables others to argue once it's been invoked. The Insurrection Act collapses the distance between unrest and federal force. Once that distance is gone, every downstream decision becomes attributed directly to the president. There is no governors to buffer blame, no local authorities to absorb the shock. The chain of responsibility is clean, short, and politically lethal. That's the first legal vulnerability it creates. Now, are you understanding where I'm going with this? Okay? Are you understanding where I'm going with this? Because this is where the importance is. Now, here's where the law and precedent start to intertwine. Now, under the Constitution, impeachment doesn't require a crime. It requires high crimes and misdemeanors. President Trump has been halfway impeached already, out of office, which for me was a blessing because now we can impeach Obama. But when we say high crimes and misdemeanors, it historically means abuse of power, dereliction of duty, or conduct incompatible with the office. Now, this is where invoking the Insurrection Act becomes dangerous. Not because it's illegal, but because it invites interpretive accusations. Explaining yourself to people that are committed to misunderstanding you and misrepresenting you in the first place. So, if federal troops are deployed domestically and unrest escalates rather than subsides, opponents can frame the escalation as evidence that the president either acted recklessly or intentionally inflamed the situation. We see them already trying to do that with ICE. And now everything that ICE does is coming back to the president. But on the other hand, one might question, and this is where we have the buffer without the Insurrection Act, is where the fuck is the governor? Where is the local police? Where are the locals in all of this unrest to quell it? You see where I'm going with this? Now, the framing in this case matters way more than the facts. We've seen versions of this before. Lincoln invoked extraordinary powers during the Civil War, including suspension of habeas corpus, right? That was crazy, but he did it. He survived politically because the existential threat was obvious and widely accepted. The country understood it was at war. Contrast that with Lyndon Johnson. He didn't invoke the Insurrection Act broadly, but he did federalize troops during civil unrest in the 60s. The legal authority was sound. Politically, it accelerated the collapse of trust in his leadership and contributed directly to his decision not to seek re-election. Not removal, but a forced exit through legitimacy erosion. Now, take it a step further into modern mechanisms. Once the act is invoked, Congress gains fertile ground to argue that the president's actions constitute an abuse of emergency power. Hearings begin. Subpoenas fly. Committees frame questions not around whether unrest existed, but whether the president's response was proportionate, necessary, and properly motivated. The last word is key. Motivated is where removal actually begins. Intent is inferred, not proven. And intent is where impeachment lives. But there's another pathway that almost nobody talks about because it sounds taboo, but is written into law. And they attempted this before. Remember, Pence did. And the former Joint Chiefs of Staff, the 25th Amendment. If invoking the Insurrection Act it results in sustained unrest, like more people coming out, people getting hurt, shot, etc., federal military entanglement, and visible institutional fracture, it opens the door for claims that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office. Not insane, not incompetent in a clinical sense, but unable because his decisions now are producing national instability. That argument does not require a coup. It requires a cabinet or part of one and a vice president willing to say the word unable. Now, the Insurrection Act doesn't trigger the 25th automatically, right? But it creates the evidentiary environment where such a move can be sold as reluctant stewardship rather than a power grab. History doesn't need an exact precedent here because the amendment itself was designed to be ambiguous. It was written after Kennedy's assassination precisely to handle gray zone crises. But then we come to there's also the judiciary. Once troops are deployed domestically, lawsuits are inevitable. Emergency injunctions are sought. Federal courts are asked to determine whether civil liberties can be violated. Even if the president ultimately prevails legally, adverse rulings along the way feed the narrative of constitutional overreach. Remember, Nixon wasn't removed because he ordered a burglary. He was removed because the system decided he could no longer be trusted with power. The law was the vehicle, not the engine. And the final piece, the unconventional warfare analysts should recognize this, and that's why when I hear people saying this is irregular warfare and we know about it and well, why don't you acknowledge that invoking the Insurrection Act collapses ambiguity in one direction only? It removes deniability. It removes diffusion of responsibility. It removes time. And in modern internal conflict, time is survival. The longer chaos persists without a singular, visible federal response, the harder it is to assign blame to one office. The moment the president federalizes force, the clock starts ticking against him. So removal doesn't come as a dramatic overthrow. It comes as a convergence. Congressional process, judicial friction, cabinet anxiety, public narrative. Each piece alone is survivable. Together, they form a lawful, procedural, almost polite removal pathway. No tanks at the White House, no generals on television, even though they love to do that. Just statements about norms, stability, and the heavy burden of a constitutional duty. That's why the most dangerous advice a president can receive during unrest is use your full authority. Full authority is a spotlight. And in an environment where legitimacy is the real battlefield, stepping fully into the light is often how you're made visible just enough to be cut loose. So the Insurrection Act isn't a sword aimed at the public. It's a lever aimed at the presidency itself, one that only works if the president is convinced that invoking it proves strength, when in fact, it may simply prove usefulness to forces already preparing the next procedural step, which gets me into all of these groups. Now, one might say, well, so under the act, would the military have full control? What if it were invoked during a government shutdown? Well, even under the Insurrection Act, the military does not have full control. Okay? That idea persists because it's emotionally intuitive, not because it's legally accurate. When the act is invoked, civilian authority does not dissolve. The Constitution does not go dormant. What happens instead is a much narrower and much more uncomfortable thing. The president temporarily authorizes federal armed forces to perform specific law enforcement functions that are normally prohibited under the Posse Comitatus Act. That's it. The military does not replace governors, courts, Congress, or civilian agencies. It doesn't govern, it executes orders. And crucially, it does so under civilian command, not in its own right. I think it was important that I bring this up because a lot of people are saying things and I'm like, okay, you've learned it wrong and I don't know who you've learned it from, but here's the facts, right? Because education is key, especially when we're having conversations, especially when you feel like you're smart enough to put it on the internet, and to smart people, you look dumb. But, to influencers that are paid for certain narratives to guide whatever they want to happen, you'll be promoted. Now, it's important that we make this distinction because, in American law, the military never acts as a sovereign actor domestically, ever. It's always an instrument. Even during Reconstruction, when federal troops occupied southern states under the Insurrection Act and related other authorities, right, the military was enforcing federal civil law, not ruling territory. Courts remained open, Congress remained in session, civil government continued, and even if it was deeply contested, of course. So the military never has full control. So what it has is delegated authority that's tightly scoped, legally bounded, and politically radioactive. Now, at this time, with the geopolitical scene that we are at, I find it to be not a good time to pull it. Now, if the act were invoked during a government shutdown, perhaps, that's where things become very interesting. Not because a law breaks, but because it seems the show. A government shutdown does not suspend the presidency. It does not suspend the Constitution. It does not suspend armed forces. The military is funded through separate appropriations and continues to operate. Essential federal employees continue working. Law enforcement continues. Courts continue. A shutdown is a fiscal and administrative crisis, not a sovereign one. So, if the president, who can legally invoke the Insurrection Act during a shutdown, he can. There's no statutory prohibition against it. But the optics and downstream effects would be volatile in a way that's really hard to overstate. Here's why. During a shutdown, the federal government is already signaling dysfunction. Agencies are partially closed, budgets are frozen, Congress is deadlocked. If in that context, the president invokes emergency domestic military authority, the argument almost writes itself. The executive is expanding coercive power while the representative branch is incapacitated. Even if that argument is legally weak, it's narratively devastating. And again, we've said this before, the battlefield is the narrative. The military would still not be in charge, but it would become most visibly functioning arm of the federal government at a moment when civilian governments looks paralyzed because of the shutdown. That asymmetry is extremely dangerous. It invites claims that it's force that's like replacing consent, even if that's not actually happening. It also accelerates judicial scrutiny. Courts are far more likely to intervene aggressively when emergency powers are exercised amid legislative dysfunction. There's also a practical constraint people miss. Domestic military deployments rely heavily on civilian agencies for logistics, coordination, and legal interfacing. During a shutdown, many of these agencies are operating on skeleton crews. That increases friction, increases mistakes, and increases the likelihood of rights violations, real or alleged. Each mistake becomes evidence. Each lawsuit becomes precedent shaping. Each injunction becomes another pressure point on the presidency. So while the military remains subordinate and limited in authority, the perception of control shifts, and perception again is what removal mechanisms feed on. And now historically, the closest analog is not a single event to something like this, but a pattern. Presidents who invoke extraordinary domestic powers during periods of institutional weakness do not usually fall because the power was unlawful. They fall because the system decides the concentration of authority has become destabilizing. And the law provides the language, but legitimacy provides the force. So, The answer, without any mythological allegations and rah, this is the bottom line. The military never takes over unless it's a junta, not legally, not structurally. But invoking the Insurrection Act, especially during a shutdown, can make it appear as though the executive is governing through force while the rest of the government is offline. And once that perception takes hold, it doesn't matter how carefully the orders were written, the machinery that removes presidents doesn't need tanks. It needs consensus that the risk of keeping him outweighs the risk of pushing him out. And that's the quiet danger. Not martial law, not generals, just slow realization, cultivated deliberately or not, that emergency authority has become the most visible thing left standing. Now, I'll tell you this. Now, listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to repeat this before I play the video. Yesterday, all the affinity groups, the dangerous ones, what your influence operators, like your Shirleys and all of them that are paid for propaganda, I repeat, paid, they're telling you they're called Antifa. They're not. They're actually highly intellectual, most of them, and other ones are kids. So they all got together. So since the Sunrise Movement is kind of like a bottom of the pool, I want you to listen to what they have to say, because this is where it hits. So for all of you that were misguided, thinking, oh, the Insurrection Act is really going to get the military to do it. We do need the military to quell unrest, but we cannot have the military like this, because this will cause us severe issues going forward. So now they've already started with the authoritarianism. In the upper level conversations that were had, they were instructed to promote the Insurrection Act subversively through their, through their conservative outlets. So they've got people pretending they're like you and me, who believe in freedom, who believe in this Constitution. And, again, a lot of people mistake popularity or noise for truth or factual things. I've told you this is all a show, and this show's about to get crazy. So you should listen to these people now. So enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. It's so wonderful to see all these different places rolling in: Chicago, Durham, Florida, Asheville. Welcome to everyone.
God, they take forever.
All right, we'll just give it another minute or so for people to join. And in the meantime, Flavia, do you want to share a little bit about language access?
Yes, thank you so much, Aru. This is the language justice introduction. So this time the interpretation feature is on. So if you would like to listen in Spanish, look for the three dots at the bottom right on the settings that say more. Click there, and then you can select Spanish if you would like to listen in Spanish. And if you're connecting from a mobile device, this should be located at the top right. Un recordatorio para todas las personas que quieren escuchar.
Great. So now we have subversives that don't even speak English. Fantastic.
Buscando la herramienta de interpretación, apretando en los tres botones en donde dice More, opriman ahí, luego busquen su idioma, buscan interpretación de idiomas, opriman español y ahí van a poder escucharnos en español. Si tienen algún problema con la herramienta, avísenos por el chat. And thank you so much. I'll send it over to you. We're ready.
Thank you so much, Flavia. And thank you to everyone joining. I see you from all over the country. I see my fellow people from Minneapolis as well. Hi, I'm calling in from Prospect Park in Minneapolis. Welcome to this call. It's been a really hard week. It's been a really hard several weeks since the surge of ICE agents in Minneapolis, but one of the things I've been most heartened by is the incredible organizing and show of support that has happened both in our city and across the country. And this is part of that. So thank you for joining this, and thank you for joining us in strategizing how we can respond in the moment, but also actually go on the offensive so that we can actually kick these people out of our city. Welcome. My name is Aru. I use she, her pronouns. I am the executive director of the Sunrise Movement. Sunrise is a youth movement for climate justice. We started back in 2017, and last year we had to confront the fact that there was no path to climate justice without kicking out the authoritarian regime that was driving us towards climate catastrophe every single day of their lives. And so we pivoted and broadened our focus to be able to fight authoritarianism, and that's why we're here right now, because we understand that this authoritarian regime is threatening our water, our air, the places we call home, then the very future we stand upon. So welcome and thank you for joining us. And we're on this call today. We're bringing together several different calls. We have some amazing partners that are joining us today from Rising Majority and from Mayday Strong. So you might have come here through either of those partners, and we're really appreciative. A lot of fantastic work and fantastic organizing came into bringing us here. Anyone from Rising Majority or Mayday Strong want to say anything before I keep going with our introductions?
Thanks, Aru. Just really glad that we can, I know there's a million things going on, so it's good to be able to just get everyone in one place so that we can really demonstrate that we are a lot larger than our opposition. So, yeah, glad to be on with everyone.
Amazing. Thank you, Lone. I introduced myself a little bit, and I want to give it a second for the other facilitators to introduce themselves as well. Let's go in the order of speaking. So, Sean, I'll pass it to you first.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm an organizer with Sunrise Twin Cities, and I use he and they pronouns. Next would be Nana.
Greetings, everyone. Nana Jumpy, she, her, Wono in the Tree language of Ghana are my pronouns. I'm the executive director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, also known as BAJI. Really glad to be here.
Fantastic. Tessa, can I pass it to you? Oh, is Tessa here? Maybe I'll pass it to Lone, and then I'll kick it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lone. I'm the National Co-Director of Rising Majority.
Amazing, and I'll pass it to Tessa. Sorry, Tessa, I didn't see your video for a second.
Hi, everyone. I am Tessa Petit, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Florida Immigrant Coalition, pronoun Lee.
Thank you so much, everyone, to our facilitators and to all of you for all that you're doing right now. I am going to start by giving a little bit of context on what's happening on the ground right now, and give us some grounding on the political moment that we're in, why this is happening, what we're seeing, and then I'll pass it to Sean to talk a little bit more about the actions that we've been taking around Hilton in particular, and around hotels in particular, and what we need your help for. And then we'll keep talking throughout the night. Nana will talk for a little while, Tessa will talk for a little while, and so will Lone, and we'll close out in the hour. I've grown up in Minneapolis. I grew up in Minneapolis my entire life. It's not an exaggeration to say that it feels a little like we're in an occupation right now. I feel every few minutes, my phone goes off with a new phone notification telling me about ICE grabbing someone on the streets. And last night, we all got news of a second shooting happening. I went over to North Minneapolis where it was happening, and it was just so scary and so infuriating how quickly ICE was willing to escalate the situation, how quickly they were willing to throw flashbangs, throw tear gas at us. It feels like every moment we see cars getting abandoned at gas stations because their drivers have been grabbed. I've spent a lot of time in the last few days going into schools and talking to students. A lot of the schools are 20, 30, 40, 50% empty because the students are too scared to go into class. And every student has a story of seeing ICE grab someone, or of their friend getting affected, or of their parent getting affected. This is exactly as bad as it looks on social media, if not worse. So it felt really emotional for me in the last week, and I felt really grateful for how much people are showing up, because the thing that has brought me incredible pride and hope in all of this is the fantastic organizing that we have seen. I got news 2 days ago that we are at the point where every single neighborhood in the Twin Cities has 3 to 4% of their neighborhood minimum in Signal group chats, which is an incredible number. That's like 10,000 people in Minneapolis, like in a Signal group chat. Really, really exciting. Organizing in the neighborhood near me in Frogtown. There's a daily rapid response Signal, and Signal has a cap at 1,000 person per group chat, and usually at around 11 a.m. we'll hit the cap of 1,000 people in the group chat because too many people have joined, and it's only for people who are actively patrolling. So every day in one neighborhood, there's 1,000 people actively patrolling at any given moment. That's the type of moment we're living in. It's awful that we have to get into this, but it is incredible what this has built. The biggest things I want to ground us in is this isn't normal. This isn't okay. This is being on the front lines of authoritarianism. And what they're doing in Minneapolis is something they're planning to do in every single city that they can. And what we learn in Minneapolis is something that we have to disseminate in every single city so that we learn our best tools to fight back, because the only way we're going to get through this is with a coordinated strategy across the country. The other thing I want us to ground us in is that what we are seeing right now is a massive increase in ICE as a paramilitary force that is at Trump's full discretion, at the same time as we are seeing the most massive wealth transfer to billionaires in history. The most massive wealth transfer to billionaires in history. At the same time as they're cutting our healthcare, at the same time as inequality is rising, as we are unable to afford groceries. Never forget that this is a mass propaganda campaign to get us to try and blame each other when, in fact, there are a handful of corporations and billionaires who are profiting from this moment. Right. Coincidences don't happen. They're connected. And as we continue to fund genocide with our tax dollars, thank you for everyone in the chat. And the third thing, and I said this a little bit already when I talked about the organizing, but the third thing that I really, truly feel is that this could be a turning point. I think this is already starting to be a turning point. The number of people that I have talked to who have said that they were not political, they didn't really feel like they needed to get plugged in before this moment, but now they are throwing everything that they can at this, is so inspiring to me. I don't think that the Trump administration or ICE knew what they were getting into. I think this has unleashed a force of organizing that they're not going to be able to recover from. There's no going back. That's right. I see this in many, many, many ways. I see this in the ways that Trump's polling numbers have totally tanked. I see this in the fact that I think 60 to 70% of people, I should remember the statistic, think that ICE needs to be abolished now, it's incredible how much that has changed from a year ago. It's incredible how when ICE reveals its true colors, when Trump reveals his true colors, suddenly we see this incredible growth in compassion and solidarity in this country. And that's the world that I want to live in, a world of compassion and a world of solidarity. And that's what they are building for us right now. When they show their colors, we show ours. And we're starting to build up those victories. We saw that when Spotify said that it wasn't going to run recruitment ads. We saw that when Avelo Airlines said they weren't going to run deportation flights. Those are victories. We saw that when a Hilton in Lakeville said that they wouldn't house ICE agents. When we run campaigns, we both get ordinary people on our side, and we start to move the pillars of support that actually uphold ICE. That is the strategy that seems to be working right now, and that's the strategy that we have to pursue. The last thing I want to say before I pass it to Sean to talk a little bit more about what we've been doing in the day-to-day. I believe that we're not just fighting against this terrible moment that we are in, but for a better future for all of us. I think that this, like I said, this could be a turning point in Trump's regime. I think this could be the moment that we actually start to build the type of mass movements that we need to not just kick Trump out of power, but to actually fix the broken political system that got us here in the first place. Actually fix the broken political system where billionaires get to say more than everyday people and where we aren't able to get our basic needs met. That's what could be on the horizon. I believe in a world where the government actually cares about everyday people, where politics doesn't feel so broken and soul-sucking, where our air and our water are clean, and where our health care is affordable, and where we don't have to worry when our families got sick, and where everyone can be equal no matter where they grew up, or the color of their skin, or the zip code that they are from. And where people can care for our neighbors, and you don't have to worry about your classmates being grabbed on your way to school. There's a lot we're fighting for, not just against, and I hope that one of the things I've felt in Minnesota is the little moments that remind me of that, the passing out of tea and samosas at the rallies and helping each other get up when we slip on the ice on the roads. That's part of what I'm fighting for too. Sean, I'll pass it to you to get more into it.
Great, thanks, Saru. So yeah, again, I'm Sean, born and raised here in the Twin Cities. And yeah, it's been really bad here. It's just going through all sorts of emotions, especially with the murder of Renee Good. Feeling just overwhelming sadness, anger, fear, and panic. And I'm sure that many of us are feeling that the same way there. And it's honestly quite traumatizing to be the center of this global attention, once again, over such egregious state violence. It's something that we've experienced back in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd. And yeah, many aspects of this feel very reminiscent to that moment. I think it really does feel like an occupation, like an invasion. And I'm here to step up because this is my community. It's simply just the right thing to do. And if we don't stop this right now while we still can, we aren't going to be able to. It's going to become way harder in the future. And what I've been seeing, though, that's been giving me hope is, I think, seeing the local communities growing increasingly resilient and unified, grassroots networks and mutual aid infrastructure that are popping up. And it feels like we're at the precipice of some sort of major paradigm shift. And we hold in our hands kind of this choice to either fully commit to building this better world that we envision, or succumb to the cancerous weight of fascism. And I'd much rather choose the former. So what we've been doing here in the Sunrise Twin Cities is particularly targeting hotels, because we are still a relatively new hub here. So we have been kind of building up our capacity kind of as we go. We've been building the plane as we go. So, we decided we'll really target this one angle, and this one pillar. And so how that's been going is we've been getting a lot of different intel from people regarding which hotels are housing ICE. So that might come simply from doing scouting and tracking license plates, which we have a fantastic network within the Twin Cities doing excellent work in that area. And then we have sometimes it's hotel staff who reach out to us and say that, give us that tip, because hotel staff, housekeeping staff, a lot of them are also scared. And what we've also been doing is creating an anonymous tip form that we've been trying to leave in like housekeeping carts so that we don't have to necessarily engage with them directly face to face, so that we don't put employees in danger. Because that's one thing that we've been really careful of, is just not to be in a place with an employee where like they could get potentially fired. And then some other things, we just get like DMs on social media from people, and yeah, just all sorts of tips that way. So getting those confirmations there. And then the three kind of main, actually I'll say four things tactics that we've been taking to target hotels is first are the wide awakes, or what we've also called noise demos. So there are two forms of these that we've been doing. One are these public ones that happen from about 7 to 9 p.m. So it happens before noise ordinances kick in at 10 p.m. And these ones are public. They're technically legal. They are meant to encourage people to come out, like really get the publicity out and do some base building in that way. And those have been really effective. But what's been more effective are the late night wide awakes, which we usually get like a small group of, it can just be 10 people, it could be 2 people even, where we have been going to hotels maybe at like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., go there, start setting off our car alarms, honking our horns. We got our drummer friend who has been drumming away for us, so making lots of noise there. And it's been, really fun doing that. And I think it's what the purpose of that is to, right, obviously wake up ICE agents, piss them off, but also to, in a sense, upset other guests too, so that they are willing to then go to hotel management and complain, and ask for refunds. Or also, like, people might not want to stay at these hotels because they're worried that they're going to get woken up in the middle of the night. And so how we've been doing these too is just making sure to have someone who's like a safety marshal and a police liaison, because police do usually eventually show up. And so especially with these late night ones, since they're after noise ordinances, we don't have as much flexibility with the legality on that end of things. And so typically after police tells us to leave, or gives us a couple warnings, then we'll usually call it a night. But the job is still done. So that's another thing that we've been doing. In addition to that, we've been doing call-ins. So on our Instagram page, we've been publishing lists of the hotels that have been housing ICE and encouraging people to call those hotels. That has been very effective. That is what actually got that Hampton Inn down in Lakeville to defect, and that Hilton Hilton corporate to basically disavow them, right? And so these calls do work. We're moving towards calling more of like the owners instead of the hotels themselves directly, or corporate offices or reservation lines, and trying to scale it up onto a national scale. Lastly, what we just started doing too is, and this is something that I'll ask of you all in this call, is to make reservations at a few key hotels. So right here we have the Home 2 Suites in Bloomington, the Graduate Hotel, and the Hampton in Eagan. So these 3 hotels are the ones that we're targeting tonight, or right now, where we want you to make reservations, right? and then set a timer for when the what do you call it? Like when the refund, like full refund timeline, right? Time frame is over, so that you can get your full refund. This way, we're really hitting them right where their like pockets are, and yeah, I think just like just targeting them that way. So yeah, so if you can do that, great. And I think that's about all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Sean. I felt so proud and lucky to be part of the Sunrise Twin Cities Hub through these last few months. Like, it feels really amazing to have a group of people who are dedicated to not just playing defense, but going on the offense to kick ICE out of our city. Let's see. Oh my God, Krista, that's so relatable. I was like, can we find a way to automate this cancellation? Because I know otherwise I'm going to be losing money on reservations. Okay, let's put something like, put the word reservation in the chat if you're planning on reserving something. I want to get a gauge of how many people are going to do it. Yeah, we actually, wow, this is great. They're going to be so booked up. They're going to make no money. I love it.
If you need more hotels too, check the Sunrise Twin Cities Instagram page, because we publish a list with even more hotels. So if just those 3 hotels are already booked up because of you guys, go ahead and just pick another random one on the list. And I guess another thing that I'll point out too is just I encourage you guys to do your own small noise demos at your local Hiltons. Again, we want this to be a national thing where Hilton really feels the heat for housing ICE agents.
And you can go to the Sunrise Twin Cities Instagram, which is sunrise.twincities on Instagram. What dates, wherever you can, as far out as we can. If you're someone who's good at remembering, I would advise doing it one day at a time for multiple, so that way each time they only have 2 days of cancellation notice, so they don't even have a chance to fill it up. Yeah, and there's a lot more hotels listed there. And you know what? If we book out all the Twin Cities hotel, we can start expanding around the country. But we're going to start with the Twin Cities first and see what we can do. Yes, also please boycott Hilton. Great. I'm going to pass it to Nana Jumphy, the Executive Director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, to talk a little bit more about why specifically Hilton, because I think people are asking some of those questions in the chat, and let's hear more from Nana.
All right. Thank you so very much. Excited to be here. Again, Nana Jumphy, she, her, Wonu in the Tree language of Ghana are my pronouns. I'm the Executive Director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, also known as BAJI. We are a Black national organization that fights for the rights of Black migrants and Black Americans by advancing both racial justice and immigrant rights. And really pleased to be here to be able to speak. Good to see all the speakers, my sister Tessa as well, because we know that the reason that this administration, this regime gave for going into Minneapolis was based upon Somalis, right? And this attack on Black immigrants in particular. And so we don't want to lose sight of that and are glad to speak about that. I want to give a swagger salute to our folks in Minneapolis, to all of you, to the folks that put this call together. This is exactly what we need to do to take down this regime and, as was pointed out by Aru, to build the world that we want to live in. So why Hilton? We characterize at Baji what's going on now as the invasion of the body snatchers. Yes, it is ICE. It's more than ICE, right? We know that the DHS has their investigators out there, the FBI, the ATF, they've got IRS police, they've got postal police, and they started that since the beginning of these invasions last year, right here in Los Angeles, where I am, and then going across the country. It has intensified to the umpteenth degree. And as they come in, they're bringing folks from outside, right? In this case, in fact, latest, they're bringing in folks from New Orleans, bringing in body snatchers from New Orleans to come in. And these people have to have some place to stay. And that's why this idea of disrupting hotels is really critical, because that is an important pillar that holds up these invasions. And Hilton is really important. When we look, and I'm so glad that Sunrise has that list at where these body snatchers are going, the Hiltons and their franchises, which are many, not all that have the name Hilton in their name, feature prominently. And they do so not just in the Twin Cities, but everywhere that these invasions have happened. We know that Hilton is part of the billionaire corporate class that is getting benefits and has decided that they openly care more about their profit than they do about people, and are aligning actually with what the values are of this regime. They made it clear when they decided to speak for that Hampton Inn and let DHS know this doesn't go. This taking, the refusal to accept the body snatchers is actually not in alignment with Hilton's values, which is their way of saying we align, right, with the idea of tucking body snatchers in at night. We align with the idea of supporting the body snatchers who are tearing us away from our families, who are terrorizing, beating, detaining, and in unfortunate cases, shooting and killing us. That they align with that, with their chest fully out. And so we didn't really choose Hilton as much as Hilton chose themselves. And we're obliging them by picking them above all else. They want to be the Bay. They are the Bay, right? Before anybody else, it is Hilton when it comes to the hotels that we need to boycott. They have made so much money that they are using against us, right? They have decided that they have this $11.74 billion in revenue that they have earned as of the end of Q3 of last year. And it's important for us to know that what they had at that point is more money, was an increase in profits than what they did the year before. And what happened? What changed? This regime came into place, right? These invasions kicked up. And so we know that they are benefiting monetarily from what is going on, and that is part of where their alignment is. We also know that they are made it clear that they are down for the get down with what this regime is doing for corporations and billionaires. They have decided that the policies that the administration is engaged in that have to do specifically with the tax policy that we know is this huge giveaway to the millionaires, to the billionaires, to the corporations, on the backs of us, on the backs of working people, and on the backs of impoverished people. And in fact, the CEO of Hilton, in the report from that Q3 of last year, said himself that he was very thrilled with the ways in which the economic policies have been presented, happy to see that the tax policies and other policies of this regime are being enacted, and feels optimistic about not just the economy, feel optimistic about the brand. This is the brand that is housing, feeding, tucking in, giving towels to the body snatchers who are doing so much harm in the community. And what we want to make sure of is that people are saying, I don't want to stay at the Hilton. I don't want to be at the Hilton. And that more franchises are joining that Hampton Inn in saying, I don't want to be associated with this brand. You don't have to worry about taking the Hilton name away from me. I don't want to be bothered with the Hilton name. And that's going to happen with this mass action that we are engaging in together. Lastly, I want to point out the reason that the local actions that we engage in at scale, meaning local actions beginning in the Twin Cities, but happening all over the country, are so important is Hilton makes a sizable amount of its money from those franchises, just from being able to give its name to those franchises. And those franchises are the local Hamptons, the local comforts, right? The local Hiltons that we go to. The ones that can do just like that Hampton Inn and decide that they're not going to have the body snatchers and that they're willing to separate themselves branding wise from Hilton, which is doing so much harm in our community. And so when we disrupt, when we get these franchises to know that they'd rather side with the people than side with the billionaires, right? Side with the people than side with their corporate headquarters. We separate Hilton from its money and therefore take away from some of those funds that are going into this regime, because Hilton is a donor to this regime and they are true to this. They are not new to this. They were donors in 2017 to the Trump transition and the inauguration, and they have re-upped that again as this regime comes in, not just refusing, to back away from this action and from these invasions, but as I said, with their full chest endorsing them. We are so pleased as Baji. We are so pleased as folks who are working on the ground with our Black communities from across the diaspora that are there in the Twin Cities: Somali, Liberian, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Kenyan, Jamaican, Trinis. It is a full-blown African American, a full-blown Black diaspora in those Twin Cities. And we are so pleased to be able to be a part of this effort, to support this effort, and to make sure that we are all saying no ICE, no war, shut down Hilton. Thank you so much for being here again.
Nana, thank you so much for diving into that with us. I think the thing that I find so empowering about this strategy is that everything in authoritarianism, everything in our society tries to tell us that we have no power as everyday people. And what this shows is the ways that we have so much power. And we're actually able to, we are the ones who run society, and they cannot do anything unless we give them permission to. So it's really cool to see the hotels being booked out, them changing their cancellation policy. We are going to make this hurt for them, and eventually we're going to make them pull away their support. This is how dictators get toppled over and over again, country after country. It's because of the courage and creativity and ingenuity of everyday people. I am going to pass it to Tessa to talk a little bit more about the broader connections between no ICE and the wars that are going on right now. Tessa, go for it.
Thank you. Again, Tessa Brown Lee, Executive Director of the Florida Immigrant Coalition, but also member leader of Grassroots Global Justice. I was asked to connect the dots for folks. And why we should and why we have to continue to say that to use the sentence, and for those who are not using it yet, it's time to start. We have to not be afraid to say no ICE and no war. Why? Why? Because we've been saying for a long time that immigrants have been a pawns to their political plays, to their politics. But it's more than that. We are a pawn to a complete political takeover. A political takeover that we thought was only set to be in the United States, but we're quickly realizing that it is spreading. It goes further than the United States. And the very simple example is Venezuela. Everything that is happening in the U.S. right now, and you've heard it from folks before, it is directly related to oligarchs getting what they want. And what they want is not just here in the U.S., it's here in the U.S. and outside. What do they want in the U.S.? They want a whitewashed fascist nation. In a fascist nation, the pure white is in power. And that's what they want here. But what also they want is to be able to own and take over everything that our countries have. And It is based on the concept of imperialism. And the concept of imperialism is very much rooted in racism, which is the root cause of everything that is happening here. It's the sense of superiority. And if you are inferior, what you have should be mine. Over the years, the approach has changed, right? What we saw right now, what they did with Venezuela is they constantly and intentionally dehumanize Venezuelans, make them seem as the criminals, as the drug dealers, as the assassins. All of that to build on a narrative on what Venezuela is. They wanted us to talk about, the fear of people going back to Venezuela. But they also intentionally then shifted from folks who are here to the country itself. That said, a lot of people are divided on what happened in Venezuela. But in the very first speech, it was very clear what they were after. It was not about drugs. It was not about fairness or justice. It was solely about oil and about money, right? I am from Haiti. I left Haiti in 2001. When they did the same thing in Haiti in 1986, we knew that it was not about Haiti. It was not about restoring justice or restoring the rule of law. It was about what we had that they wanted. And administration after administration, they came in and they took a little bit more every time while the country itself kept sinking deeper and deeper in poverty, in instability, in insecurity. And it is going to continue because what they do not want success and riches for our people going back home. They don't want our countries to be stabilized for us to go back home and be stabilized. That's not what they're looking for. And so what they're doing is, and also the easiest way for oligarchs to make money, the easiest way for the minority to make money in this country, which the riches are the minority, is to encourage wars. It's to encourage divides. It's to encourage this type of militias in our streets. And so they're going to continue with this, and it is our responsibility. The U.S. has a huge power over the rest of the entire world. And it is our responsibility to not only say no more of this in our streets, but we also do not want our tax dollars. We do not want our people to be divided, to be ripped apart just to support an agenda for a handful of people who are only looking to get richer at our expense. And to be honest, what's going to happen in the end, for being an immigrant rights advocate, I can tell you what I expect to see, something similar to the Dignity Act, where they will just give us a work permit and we will be legalized slaved with nowhere to go but here with no benefits. And so I want to urge you, while you are standing up for what is right, because we have to stand up for what is right, while we are saying no war, while we are saying no war and no ICE, we are going to stay safe, but we are going to fight. We're going to fight for the protection of our people. We're going to fight for the basic human rights, basic human needs of our folks, whether they are immigrants, minority communities in the United States, black and brown people, everyone here who has the right to live, who has the right to have access to healthcare, who has the right to a safe environment, for a country where our children can go outside and play freely and without fear and worries. And you've seen it. You see it right now on the slide. None is free until we are all free, and we will continue to fight for that. We do have a strategy that we can use. It is CARE, because CARE is the right strategy to defeat authoritarianism. CARE is power. We need to care for one another. We need to not be afraid to love each other, to show love, to love on each other by building mutual aid and solidarity networks. And our solidarity networks are only going to be successful if they are very diverse, if there is everyone, all types of people being part of it, all of us coming together and not being afraid to hold hands with people who do not look like us. We're going to show our care in our public policies. They've kept us on the defensive for years now. We're going to go on the offensive. We're going to advance good policies. We're going to insist and we're going to hold elected officials accountable. We are going to learn how to co-govern. And most of all, care, well, we say that care is for our well-being, dignity, and joy. Most of all, care is what is going to help us to get rid of the hatred that has poisoned this country so that we can come back as a country that is safe and welcoming to all. Thank you.
Tessa, thank you so much for connecting those dots for us and talking about the broader context that we're in. I'm seeing so many creative ideas in the chat of other things we could do, like leaving bad Google reviews. Some people talking about like going in as undercover ICE agents. I love the creativity. I think this is like how movements win. If you are thinking about all the actions you can do, what it's going to take is care and compassion in structures of organized people that can take action together. So join a group near you. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take every one of us connected to our neighborhoods, taking action together. You can join a Sunrise Hub. You can join many other chapters of many other groups across the country. And I think that actually tees us up perfectly to pass it to Lone to talk a little bit about some of the actions coming up that you could take. Yes, action is the antidote to despair.
Awesome. Thanks again so much, everyone, for all of your organizing. This could be your very first action. It can also be your 100th action. But either way, we know that we have to keep the pressure up and keep showing our solidarity with the people of Minneapolis, with the people of Venezuela, solidarity to the people of Gaza, of Sudan, of Iran, of DC, Chicago, LA, demonstrating our solidarity with any place, any city, any community being attacked by ICE, military, or police while corporations profit, right? So to Tessa's point and so many others, let's get organized, let's love our people, let's protect each other, let's win, because we know that U.S. militarism and authoritarianism and corporate profiteering is completely out of control. And the folks here and just the incredible organizing in Minneapolis and so many cities across the country is a demonstration of what we're capable of, that we can actually push back, that we can fight and we can advance a vision of the world that our people actually deserve, that isn't just about our communities here, but also our communities all around the globe. So folks are dropping, as you know, Aru said, lots of creative action ideas in the thread. Folks are already putting in those Hilton reservations. Folks are at the Wide Awakes. If you are not in Minneapolis, we really want to invite you to participate in this weekend of action that starts on Saturday under the banner of No ICE, No War. To find the Hilton nearest you, organize a protest, a teach-in, a rally, a dance party, some sort of demonstration that you don't have to be in Minneapolis. You don't have to be in a city that is currently under occupation to care about this. And it's quite possible that your city is also already under ICE occupation. There are some folks in the chat who are saying, how do I find out if there's ICE agents staying at the Hilton in my community? It's very likely that they are putting up the agents, to rest in order to attack our people in the morning. So wherever you are, find the nearest Hilton to you and plan an action, and also have conversations with your neighbors, with the people in your communities about what they'd rather be spending the trillions of dollars that are available to us. They probably would rather be putting it into our housing, our healthcare, our education, instead of the U.S. war machine that is clearly causing so much pain and suffering for our people here in the U.S. and around the world. So please be sure to check out the toolkit at No Ice, No War. It's going to be dropped in the chat multiple times. We'll follow up with folks so that you have that information. Recruit your friends, share it with people, pull them in. And again, what is happening in Minneapolis affects all of us. What is happening in Gaza and Venezuela affects all of us. In DC, all of us. So let's keep up the pressure and let's make this happen, y'all. Again, so appreciative of everything that you're doing and all of the ways that we are fighting back together.
Thank you so much, Lon. I'm seeing a lot of people put booked in the chat because they've booked their reservations. Let's do, if you're going to go to one of these actions, these Hilton actions, put action in the chat. And if we've already booked, put booked in the chat. Let's see where we're going. Wow, look at all that. One fun little anecdote is that a few days ago, one of our hub members got a call from someone who worked at a Hilton, and then we looked them up and realized they worked in Hilton's branding department, and they were really talking to us about how our actions weren't effective, which to me, if the branding people are calling you, telling that your actions aren't effective, it's probably a sign that they are effective. So good job, everyone. Amazing. I'm going to close us out. I'm really, really proud. I'm really proud of all the action that we're taking. And I grew up a big history nerd, and I feel like I would always read about all these historical moments, like the Salt March in India, or like the people who would hide their Jewish neighbors during the Holocaust, or like the Civil Rights Movement. And I'd always wonder, what type of person would I be, and what type of courage would I have? And it has felt so heartening in the last few days to realize the unbreakable spirit of our people. I just see it over and over and over again in all these tiny little moments. It is incredible to me that a week ago, someone got shot for observing ICE, and the reaction of Minneapolis and of the country wasn't to go home in fear. It was to send thousands more people out to go to do the exact thing that we might get shot for. That's an incredible act of bravery. That's an incredible, incredible act of bravery, and it's one that comes from a very fierce love of your home and of your neighbors and of the people that you have never met. That's who we are. That's who we stand for. So I'm going to close this call, and I want to close it by asking people to put in the chat, when in the last few weeks, have you felt inspiration and hope from seeing how we respond? I think it'll be really lovely to see people's responses together. Feels really hard to say that we're winning when things are so hard and where people are getting grabbed off the street. But I truly, truly believe that we have the public on our side, that we are starting to knock down Trump's pillars of support, and that every single day, more and more people are choosing to be brave in the face of fear and are choosing solidarity and compassion in the face of division. We're going to win, y'all. Thank you. I'm going to stay on to read all these lovely notes.
Don't worry, I have all the notes, and we have all the chats, and we have all their names. So we're going to take a short break, and then I'm going to come back and tell you all the laws they broke. And I encourage all of you that are digitally savvy to clip that part where I explain the crimes that they've committed and why it's important. But before I do that, I'm going to show you a very old advertisement. And I'm going to leave the chat on there so that way I can obfuscate the really old video. But this actual video will show you someone that just popped up recently, Tony Blair. But see, this advertisement for kinky underwear in the United Kingdom, watching it now, tells you another story. So please enjoy. Oh, and another thing, something that people should think of. I believe that a lot of you, if you like to be sleuths, because I can't wait tomorrow to see what you guys have for us in regards to, the influencer operation videos that you guys created yourself, outing people, parts of networks. And a lot of you still haven't really touched how many. I'm going to try to, let me see if I can alter to have the chat here somewhere, but I don't want you guys to miss the video either. I'm going to leave it really tiny in the corner. How's that? I hope you really enjoy this video, and I want you to pay attention to the players and what is being shown. Please enjoy this really awesome intermission. And for those of you that are active, please pay attention to what I have to say afterwards. And not only that, I'm going to show you how our work is starting to be the beginning of the end for them. And I'll expand on that. Here we go.
Says it all, she's lost control. She's clinging to the nearest passerby, she's lost control. And she gave away the secrets of her past and said, I've lost control again. And a voice that told her when and where to act, she said, I've lost control again. She's lost control again. She's lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control. And she turned around, took me by the hand and said, I've lost control again. And how I'll never know just why or understand, she said, I've lost control again. And she screamed out, kicking on her side, and said, I've lost control again. Seized up on the floor, thought she died, she said, I've lost control again. She's lost control again. She's lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control. State my case and say she's lost control again. And she showed up all the errors and mistakes and said, I've lost control again. But she expressed herself in so many different ways, she lost control again. And walked upon the edge, no escape, and laughed, I've lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control again. She's lost control again. She's lost control.
In other words, Tony Blair was whipping George Bush. That's interesting. Very interesting piece of old, but very current happenstances. Now, a lot of them should get whipped. But let's talk about what we just saw. So I showed you one of the lower level calls where all of them did this. They played their tiny violin. Let's get my tiny violin. But I'm going to walk this the way a prosecutor or national security minded civil litigator, hi FBI, hi DOJ, giving you what you need. Because I've taken a long think about this. And I just saw that there's a competition on X. Get $1 million for the best article. Bitch, I write the best motherfucking articles out there. So I need to figure out which one I want to write. Because I've got a few in the burner. But this was going to be an article, and maybe I will. But instead, I'm trying to give the prosecutors a way to not have ICE out on the streets like this too hard, to rein these motherfuckers in. And not only that, to help us avoid doing things that we don't need. So I have my thinking cap, and I've been thinking about this for years watching these. But again, thinking with my national security minded hat, but pretending I'm a litigator, this is how I would see it. Because the key here is not to be outraged, it's framing. You don't prosecute protest. You prosecute coordinated interference, coercion, and economic sabotage. Intent and method are everything. Well, now let's start with the factual core that we would need to establish, right? Let's pretend I'm at the DOJ or at the FBI. This is what I'd be telling all of them. So feel free to snip it, send it, do whatever you want from what I'm going to say to them. Now, the moment a group and a nationwide group, and as you saw, it was a collection of different little groups, right? On this lowest level of groups. Because as I said, this is highly coordinated with excessive urgency since all of the factions, from SES included agency military officials down to this, all were doing the same thing. Obviously, the upper levels were not talking about the Hilton. They were talking about training for the shutdown. But let me continue. We should be prosecuting on interference, coercion, and economic sabotage. So what's at the core? The moment this group, which you've seen, moves from expressing opposition to intentionally disrupting the operations of a lawful business in order to cause financial harm, they leave the shelter of protected speech and enter regulated conduct. So the First Amendment protects advocacy and assembly. It does not protect organized action designed to obstruct commerce, coerce behavior, or disable operations. And courts have been extremely consistent on that. Remember, what's his face? That Steinbart dude. Didn't he go to jail for that? Now, at a federal level, the backbone statute is the Hobbs Act, 18 U.S.C. 1951. This law prohibits obstruction, delay, or effect on interstate commerce by robbery or extortion. It includes fear of economic loss. If a coordinated group like the one you saw deliberately disrupts Hilton's hotel's operations, blocking access, interfering with employees, sabotaging reservation systems, harassing guests, or threatening continued disruption unless demands, whatever they may be, are met, FBI and the DOJ can simply argue extortion under the Hobbs Act. The Supreme Court has upheld that economic coercion affecting interstate commerce qualifies, and a national hotel chain squarely meets the interstate commerce requirement. So, you know what? I think, like everyone keeps saying, I should have gotten a JD. I just can't afford it, don't have the time. So I'm consulting now without pay. So I'm consulting to my Department of Justice and my FBI, take this and run with it. So we got the Hobbs Act, number one. Wait, there's more. I've completely analyzed this. So if the disruption also includes coordinated interference with transportation, supply chains, or communications, 18 U.S.C. 371, conspiracy to defraud the United States to commit an offense against it. Now, a conspiracy charge doesn't just require like the underlying offenses to fully succeed. It requires agreement, intent, and overt actions, right? Planning meetings, we just saw it. Shared messaging on platforms, saw that too. Coordinated timing, whoa shit. And division of roles becomes evidence. This is often how prosecutors bind loosely organized groups together in a single legal theory, where they get whatever. I mean, you can indict a ham sandwich. What the fuck? I got a ton of laws to give you guys. Come on, let's go. Let's get these little bitches. So, if the conduct, and by the way, to the DOJ and the FBI analyst that's been tasked to watch this because so many people have sent it to you, here's what I have to tell you. We've got another bunch of these calls. You contact me. I'm protecting all the other people that do this, which are not that many because we're not very well oiled, but I can give it to you all. So now going to the next. Now, let me just say this conduct also includes intentional interference with employees or guests through threats or intimidation. Therefore, we can invoke 18 USC 875. That's or related interstate threat statutes, right? It depends on whether the communications cross lines, which obviously they just admitted they did, right? Which in modern digital coordination, they always do, right? So if the disruption includes cyber interference, DDoS attack on booking systems, credential abuse, or system tampering, then the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, 18 USC 1030, becomes central. Now, that statute criminalizes intentional damage to protected computers, which include systems used in interstate commerce. Now, on the civil side, which is often faster and more devastating, Hilton could bring claims for tortious interference with contractual relations and tortious interference with prospective economic advantage. I have talked about tortious interference before, many, many times. Now, these claims require that we should show that these people intentionally and improperly interfered with existing contracts or business relationships causing economic harm. They did. They admitted it on multiple times. An organized disruption designed to shut down hotel operations, cancel events, or deter guests qualifies cleanly. Courts do not excuse this behavior merely because it's politically motivated. Now, here's another thing. I would also look at state-level racketeering statutes. Now, many states have RICO analogs modeled into Federal RICO Act 18 USC 1961 through 68. Now, the group is engaging in a pattern of predicate acts, extortion, threats, vandalism, cybercrime, coordinated trespass over time. Now, they have evidence that they've been doing it because we've been sending them all of their videos, not just the Sunrise Movement. As you saw, there's other little ones that joined it, but bigger ones. And so this can be framed as a group, as an enterprise engaged in racketeering activity. And RICO is powerful because it allows you to aggregate conduct, seize assets, and impose treble damages in civil cases. And most importantly, RICO was designed precisely to address organized activity that hides behind informal structure. Trespass and nuisance laws matter too. But they are supporting actors, not the lead. Criminal trespass statutes apply when the individuals are actually unlawfully entering or remain on hotel property. So public nuisance law apply when conduct interferes with the public's right to safety and access. Now, these charges reinforce the narrative that the conduct is not expressive, but obstructive. I mean, they said it themselves anyway. Now, the why this should not be allowed question, which most of us say, is not philosophical, it's actually constitutional. I want you to understand that the United States doesn't recognize the right to coerce private actors through coordinated disruption, okay? It does not. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that while speech is protected, conduct that intentionally interferes with commerce, contract, and public accommodation is regulable. If this were allowed, any organized group could effectively privatize enforcement power, shutting down businesses they dislike without due process. This is incompatible with a system built on a rule of law than a rule of pressure. Okay. So there's also a public accommodation dimension. Now, hotels are not private clubs. They serve the public. Disrupting their operations harms not just the corporation, but employees, guests, vendors, and local economies. Courts often consider, and very much consider, that collateral harm heavily when determining whether conduct crosses from protest to unlawful coercion. So, putting on my wannabe prosecutorial hat, The strategy here is to strip away rhetoric and reduce the case to intent, coordination, and impact. We can prove the defendants agreed to disrupt operations. They put it in writing, they said it in their voice, and they sent each other emails and the signal chats. Oh my gosh. Now, even when she was like, oh, that's great. You're going to that hotel in this state. She was telling you, we have the chats. Now, I want you to know that once you do that, prosecutors, okay, I'm talking to you. Once you do that, you prove that they took concrete steps to do so, which I've given you just with this simple video. There's a shit ton that I can give you too. You can also prove that commerce was affected and harm occurred. Once that happens, the First Amendment defense completely collapses because constitutional protection doesn't extend to organized economic harm imposed through obstruction and intimidation. Booyah. And that's the thorough line. Not politics versus business, not speech versus power. Lawful commerce versus unlawful coercion. And the moment intent shifts from persuasion to disruption and punishment, the legal ground changes and the law is very clear about who loses footing when that happens. You see what I'm saying? Putting on our thinking caps. And unfortunately, a lot of people have let this go on and on and on, which is unacceptable. So all of these laws are applicable. We have full evidence and even more that we can provide if necessary for law enforcement. As you know, I have stepped back from recording. Therefore, if I'm engaging with law enforcement, there's no warrant necessary. I'm simply an investigative, independent journalist that's providing this information. Now, I also wanted to tell you how much headway we've made. So if you guys remember, back in September, I went to Rome, Malta, and some other places. And the reason I went to Rome is because high-level, subversives within our nation, some of them working at the State Department up until today, actually went to Rome themselves under the guise of whatever the shitty Pope was doing. Excuse my French to all those that are offended. That Pope is... So I went to the Vatican and I observed. Now, here's what they were doing. They were actually getting training, and I shared that video where they discussed how they got training from foreign nations to overthrow the government with peaceful methods. So while I was there, and just my presence being there can shift dynamics sometimes, I can tell you that it was kind of uneventful, except for the fact that we met with a Danish guy by accident on our last evening. But here's what I want to tell you on that. On my plane ride back, when I left France and got to JFK, a gentleman sat next to me and he was in panic mode. He turned out to fly to Cleveland with me too. It's almost as if he was telling me something without telling me something. So he told me, and I think I mentioned it on my show. I'm not sure because I'm pretty transparent. There's nothing to hide with me. But he said to me, I'm freaking out. My wife was just refused entry into France, telling her passport is invalid. And this is September. I was like, well, that's interesting. She can call the embassy and they can rectify it if her passport is not invalid. He said, yeah, we just had a conversation. Then we split up. I went, checked out of customs, told them I have to declare a good time, and went on my merry way. Lo and behold, I get upgraded to first class, which was fantastic, going back to Cleveland. And guess who sat next to me? Same guy. He's like, oh my God, she had her phone off, like I told you, but I did text her that. She's in London now. And I was like, did she go to the embassy? Did she get like a temporary passport? He's like, yeah, the purple one, right? He's like, yeah, all right. He's like, you know your stuff. What do you do? I was like, nothing. I just know a lot of stuff. I don't like telling people. Like, it's really even hard to describe what I do. I just tell people I have a big mouth. So, tabling that, I started to notice a trend over time. I started to notice a trend that a lot of people that are overseas, that are American citizens, are having difficulty flying back to the United States. And now it's not because they're barred. These are American citizens. But it's because their passports are canceled or they're telling them they're lost or stolen. And they're like, what are you talking about? I just left and went to Germany or whatever, and my passport can't be stolen. I'm right here. And they go through all these hoops. And one lady, and I think I saved that video because I watch the internet. I am everywhere. I see everything. I just make notes of things. So today it tickled the notes even more that maybe that guy happenstancely sitting next to me, where I gave him advice for his wife, was trying to tell me things. So I see this video. I think it was like October. It was right before that all went down with Nick's, because I remember when I was at the ICU, my phone started playing, and on my video folder, sometimes they play when I put my headphones on. Shit just comes on randomly. AI just picks one, and it picked that. So in that video, this American citizen was told that her passport was lost or stolen, and they detained her in that country, saying she can't fly to the US. So she had to stay an extra day and went to the embassy to go and figure it out. They told her, we don't know. Did you file it lost or stolen? She's like, how the fuck would I file it? I flew out of the country. Like, why would I do that? So they gave her a purple passport. So she educated everyone on what the purple passport is, for those that don't know. It's your temporary passport. It looks like a blue purple color. It's temporary. And so she finally got back to the country, and now she's asking questions from the State Department. Who reported her passport lost or stolen, or why was it flagged as fraudulent? Right after I reheard that video, throughout November, there were a lot of these stories coming through from influencers too. And a lot of these influencers went to China and lost their bags. And it's like, how the fuck do you lose it in one of the most controlled areas? Like, I'm not worried about leaving my handbag open at any airport in the US because there's cameras fucking everywhere, right? So China, which is more monitored, how the fuck did they lose their bag and their passport? Tell you something? So, now, as you saw, a video that I shared today showed a woman who said her passport, her global entry and TSA pre were completely revoked in the middle of the night in December. And then she said, in order to not be qualified for the global entry program or TSA pre, you have to, have all of these things. One of those things was under investigation. Now, that means that the people that are in these groups that we have been sending the FBI are actually putting them on a fucking list and not letting them leave the fucking country anymore. And you need to remember that these people have been going overseas to train on how to overthrow our government here. So I just wanted to tell you, for all of you that are my ADP on Subscribestar and contribute to our efforts, this has been perfect. Now, I am a little bit worried because my freaking cousin never listens. She wants to take my little niece to a trip to Europe during spring break to have some mother-daughter time. I'm like, dude, just fucking do it in America. Nope, she's insisting. Whatever happens, that kid is attached to me now. But I'm worried about my cousin. Because the last thing you want is to leave your country because you will not be able to come back. Especially if your ID is misappropriated or misused. Now, as someone who has been a victim of identity theft, and don't forget, I've had actual trolls on former Twitter post my social security number, right? You have to be very careful. Your social security number is in the hands of every Indian person that picks up the phone when you call for your bank. Your social security number is on, speed dial and access to foreigners in random countries that service your credit card companies or cell phones. I want you to be very careful. Now, if they are already tagging and flagging the subversives, that means the hate networks that have been organized to cause disruption within the US government and spread misinformation, and those that are acting as foreign agents without labeling themselves as foreign. So like what if Israel came to me and say, hey, Tori, we want you to be like pro-Israel, here's 7,000. I have to file a FARA paper. Have you guys actually investigated to see if any of your favorite influencers that are diehard pro a country have registered as FARA? You know, have they filed any FARA documents? Have they registered as a foreign agent? That's what you need to think of. We are making progress, and this progress to you may not be seen. I know a lot of you are getting thrown into the loophole of, oh, we need the Insurrection Act. Just told you why I don't want it. And I just gave the DOJ a way to shut them the fuck down real quick. Crime is a crime, political or not. They are committing crimes. They're admitting to them. They're colluding. The crimes that I demonstrated where they're organizing with foreign entities to find ways to overthrow our government have now bit them in the ass. And that activist that put out, oh my God, like, I'm a trans activist. I have a trans sister and a trans this and that. And it's like, well, bitch, you're working with people that are trying to overthrow the government. So maybe you should think twice, because you can't claim that you're an American citizen and enjoy the benefits of this beautiful country when you are trying to overthrow it. Sorry, not sorry. Now, this goes, as I said, the same way for those subversive networks within the ranks of conservatives. So, not trying to toot my own horn, but I think I was the first person to ever call Obama's presidency a regime. It's becoming a common word now. And I'm also the one that made fuck around and find out trend. People may not like to admit it, but that's a fact. That is a fact. Never heard about it till you saw my little guy, that professor guy, where I'm like, yep, those are my pronouns. Remember? Now everyone has them as pronouns. Again, it's all thanks to God for giving me the intellect to have the most amazing AI that can help me predict events, which I will never share with anyone, even if I wanted to. So I wanted to just make that statement while I put a musical interlude and kind of decide if I should take you back in time and show you an episode from 2023 and show you why it's important today. Because as I said in the beginning of the show, we shouldn't be explaining ourselves to people that are committed to misrepresenting us or misunderstanding us. But I just wanted to show you guys, once again, how all my shows, no matter how random, like the Britney Spears, where I got a lot of hate and then suddenly that was in the news. Well, I'm going to show you why I did a show on a specific town in New York in 2023 and how it's relevant today and why. So I'm going to give you guys a short musical interlude. Let's see, which one? We don't want to see George Bush being whipped by Dita and then have Tony Blair, the head mistress. Which, by the way, did you guys see that Indian lady coordinating a call? She looked like a madam talking to like her whores. It was so weird. That's all I could envision. So let's see. What song do we want? Let me see. I want a really fun song. Let's see. Hold on. This one. Because this one tells you a lot too. So I'll see you in just a bit, right after this short intermission.
And the days go by like a strand in the wind, in the web that is my own. I begin again. I said to my friend, nothing else matters.
Just like the wide-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Just like the wide-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. And the days go by like a strand in the wind, in the web that is my own. I begin again. Said to my friend, baby, nothing else mattered. He was no more than a baby then. When he seemed broken hearted,
baby, ooh, said ooh. Well, I went today, maybe I will go again tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, well, the music there, well, it was hauntingly familiar. When I see you doing what I try to do for me, well, there words on it, poetry, voice on it, fire and melody, and nothing else mattered. Just like the white wind just sings the songs as I she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. Just like the white wind sings the songs as I she's singing. Say ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. The clouds never expected when it rains, but the sea changes color, but the sea does not change. So with the soul, graceful flow of age, I went forth with an angel desire to please on the edge of 17. Just like the white wind sings the songs as I she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. Just like the white wind sings the songs as I she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. Well, and suddenly there was no one left standing in the hall. Yeah, yeah, when it flooded up tears that no one really ever heard for at all. When I ran searching for an answer, so standing down the hall, and not to find an answer, just to hear the call of a night bird singing, come away, come away, come away. Just like the white wind sings the songs as I just sing it. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. Just like the white wind sings the songs as I just sing it. Ooh, baby, ooh, say ooh. Well, I hear you, ooh, now, I hear you, at nightfall. Sometimes to be near you is to be unable to feel you, my love. I'm a few years older than you. I'm a few years older than you. Just like the white wind sings songs as I just sing it. Said ooh, just like the white wind sings songs as I just sing it.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to go back in time for a second. But before we do, I'm going to show you what I want to talk about. And then I'm going to play for you. Oh, you know what? No, actually, I should just play the video for you. Hold on, let me just see. There's a short form. Is that the short form one? Yes, it is. All right. I have the short form video. This is the full video. Do we want short form or full? Don't know yet. But I'm going to play my show. Give me a second. I'm going to start it where I need. Give me a sec. I'm going to take it to where I want, which is at the end of this hearing. So this is from the 20th of September, right?
that the southern border represents a massive security threat. Those were his words, a massive security threat. Do you agree?
I am perfectly happy to align myself with the director of the FBI.
Well, why is it then that we have seen your administration rescind the Trump-era orders that had secured that border? I mean, we've seen an exponential increase in suspected terrorists.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness can respond if he chooses.
I mean, this is the answer to this question about
he chooses?
Immigration law is an extremely long answer. I would defer to the Department of Homeland Security.
All right, before we end today's show, let me tell you something about the border that is a concern for me, right? Immigration is a hot topic. The Guardian put out an article yesterday about Andres Domingo. Now, Andres Domingo is an undocumented, alien, a Guatemalan native who made multiple allegations of sexual assault at the Chrome Detention Center within the United States. Now, DHS had substantiated the claims. There were witnesses, there were everything, which made this Guatemalan eligible for a U visa, meaning undocumented immigrant that can come. And this is a special visa that's given to victims of crimes like sexual assault to stay in the U.S. So Andres was actually a victim. So Domingo, a Guatemalan native, was raped and sexually assaulted at the Chrome Detention Center, and therefore they are allowed to have this visa. But it just so happened that the DHS suddenly reversed its decision, which means that Domingo can no longer qualify for the visa. Now, he and his lawyer are confused and upset about what happened, especially since there's evidence, actual evidence, and witnesses to back up the statements. And so the reversal to not grant this person a visa doesn't make sense. And it suggests that the system isn't following its own standards. Now, ICE says that they're committed to making sure detainees are in safe conditions, but declined to comment directly on why they reversed their decision on these allegations. And apparently, the attorney for Domingo is reaching out to members of Congress to get more transparency. Now, speaking of that, we have seen that California, I talked about this when it happened in Louisiana for porn verification, right? That porn sites have to get verification. And someone had put out a comment that was pretty interesting. It's actually quite funny how porn.com never gets hacked, right? But the law, which is the California Age Appropriate Designation Code Act, the CAA-DCA, is one of the most recent bills seeking to child-proof the internet by demanding age verification checks by users. Now, one might say that, oh, this is good. We keep our kids safe and, everything. But this is being required by online businesses and social media platforms to estimate the ages of their users, they say, and to make sites to take measures to protect children. But here's the implication that we have. NetChoice, which is a trade organization representing tech companies, challenged that law in court, and very rightfully so, arguing that it violates the First Amendment rights by essentially leading to censorship, which is 100% true. The judge actually, hearing that case, agreed with that perspective, saying that the law's age estimation requirements would not only fail to protect children, but might also make things worse by requiring more personal information to be collected. So there are privacy concerns, right? Because rather than under the guise, and I've told you this, they will say, oh, well, it's to protect your kids. Do you not want your kids protected? This reminds me of issue 1 in Ohio, right? Don't you want your kids protected? Yeah, you do. So then we need all your information. We need a digital ID to know who you are and what you're browsing, okay? Because this is how they collect more personal information. And on top of that, the law, if passed, could lead to widespread content censorship, making it so that with your digital token of who you are browsing the internet, you're not allowed to view certain things, or you're not allowed to go to certain websites. What? You mean online banking? Yeah, you're not allowed. You're a third-rate citizen. You can go to Walmart and cash your checks. So it's not just affecting, minors per se, it's affecting everybody. And the ruling, obviously, that was happened, through this judge can serve as precedent for similar laws in other states, prompting lawmakers to think how they approach online safety for minors without infringing on constitutional rights. Now, considering child pornography, which is quite big, or things like, OnlyFans, I would actually be for things that have X-rated content for people to actually give their identity. Sorry, that's how I feel. And that's basically it. That's the only one that actually, I can stand by and say, well, when you're classified, it's almost like, you're not allowed to take this medication because it's controlled substance, and the DEA needs to know that you've been given the script because it's oxy and you could be an addict, or your doctor can be issuing you too much to get you addicted, intent to medicate or distribute, right? So there are certain things that can be done to protect our minors from creeps, right? It's almost like, oh my gosh, did you guys hear about the case? Oh, let me not forget. So there was this guy, right, a dad, who called the police. I'm trying to remember which one. He called the police because his daughter, who was 11, sent lewd pictures to an old man online. So he called the police because he wanted the police to tell her how wrong it was and file a report. I kid you not. The state escapes me because I read it on the fly because I've been just that busy, right, putting together reports. But what happened was the police turned up and the dad was like, yo, you're late. I wanted you to talk to her because I saw this and this is illegal. And they were like, we should charge her for, creating child pornography. The fuck you will. This is despicable that, the police would even think of saying the child had some kind of implication or asked for it or created child porn on her own, when it was an older man requesting these photos, the sugar daddies online. That's what they do. They ask little children to pose in promiscuous positions or do a video and follow their instructions and send it to them. And this is how they create child pornography. Then they sell it, they make money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is unbelievable. I think it was Alabama. Correct me if I'm wrong, that it was the police in Alabama that did this. But that is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Now, having said that, I have to bid you goodbye. I did 3 hours when I am on a crunch today. But, I had high res on, which I thought was important to see the artists for who they are and hear them themselves. Hopefully I can get Samson on too at some point. He's dropped some serious music, and I wanted to showcase it. I mean, you all know how I feel about Tom McDonald too, right? Because art is to assist us in telling a story times that they've committed. And many of the people on that list should not even be near anywhere serving the government. And we have people in jail.
Nothing, so they can gain some more power and keep their banks fat, and all we get is table scraps. Fuck yeah, it makes me mad. Fuck yeah, I get upset. We're constantly ignored. Why the fuck I gotta pay for this? I don't want this war. How the Pentagon have $6 billion unaccounted for, but when I do my taxes, I'm afraid to be $1 short. I'm afraid I'll go to jail. I'm afraid I'll do some time if I don't pay you back the money that you wasted. That was mine. I can't keep quiet anymore. It's impossible to shut up. I'm sick and tired of being responsible for all your fuck-ups, but the question is, what we gonna do about it? There's never a plan of action. All we seem to do is shout it, and I'm guilty of it too. Always bitching and complaining, never walking, always talking, always lipping off and saying I'ma do shit, but I don't. And to be honest with you, that's the reason I don't make a lot of songs, and that's the truth. I'm sick of bumping my gums. I'm tired of flapping my jibs. Something needs to be done, and I don't know if rapping is it. We need a real solution, but we need to get together first, because unless we're all in this as a whole, it'll never work. However, what do I know? I'm just a moron with a pen, but there's power in numbers, and there's more of us than them.
The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on, continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all.
Now, I hope you guys were paying attention to the screen. I brought the attention of a city there, and then I did a show about it. That show's another time. But as you know, I dropped it. Sometimes in my encores, I'll do that. Well, now, I'm going to show you the short video, just so you can get the gist of what I was telling you in 2023. We're all talking about fraud. Fraud, with daycare centers. When I could tell you, I've been on top of that shit, from CMS to Medicaid to elderly homes to why the fuck hasn't Lutheran Social Services been shut down yet, to Catholic charities, oh vey. But here's where it's going to get really triggering for a lot of people. So I'm going to show you the short clip, and then we can show the long clip. Get ready, guys, because here's a doozy.
This is Curious Joel, a village of 44,000 Hasidic Jews in upstate New York that primarily speak Yiddish, have an average of 7 kids per family, and rely heavily on state assistance and welfare programs like Medicare, SNAP, housing assistance, and tax credits from their many kids. How many kids do most people have out here?
17, 18.
How do they afford 17, 18 kids?
They are proud to do what the Torah says, that you need to be multiple and fruitful.
Wow. How do people afford to have like 10 kids out here?
The community is based on this. So
is it wealthy members of the community give charity?
Yes, mostly.
I don't talk to suspicious person.
How am I suspicious? Do you study Torah?
You work for Hamas?
What do you do for work?
Nothing.
How do you make money?
My wife.
Your wife?
I'm doing home care.
Brokerage, construction.
Are most people on Medicaid, SNAP, EBT?
I don't know. I can't speak for other people.
What about you?
I'm not going to tell about myself.
The one thing I am curious about, though, is the welfare use. Are you on welfare?
No. The Jewish people, just from Kiryas Joel, their taxes covers everything that we take back. They pay a lot of property tax.
Do you know anyone on welfare here?
I won't comment on that question.
Come on.
No.
Why not?
No.
What do you guys do for work here? You guys have like businesses, work a job, study Torah?
I have a job.
What do you do?
I'm in sales.
What do you sell?
Food.
Okay. What food do you sell?
Chocolates.
What? I feel like I'm getting bamboozled right here. Excuse me. You guys take EBT?
We do.
What percentage of people would you say use EBT for their groceries here?
100%.
100%? What percentage would you say?
35%.
A little bit difficult to conclude what to take away from that. Let's pop in here and say shalom. Synagogue? Okay. Lots of people praying. I'm not sure the schedule exactly, but 9 o'clock sharp, they're not at work. Question for you. What do most men do for work here? Can you give me some ideas?
Oh.
I'm just asking Hasidic Jews out here. I know What do you mean? Do people here survive off of welfare?
There is a percent, like all of the communities. You have 8 kids. You can also get benefits.
It's 2:59. Why aren't people at work?
These are all teenagers.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
You gotta wonder what these people do for employment. So if you want to talk about Sharia law and people living in a theocratic ethnic enclave, look no further. Curious Joel is an example of only Jews living here, and a lot of them are tapping into welfare benefits. This is Curious Joel, a village.
All right. So, because we like I said, we like to talk about the Somalis. I've been on top of the Somalis from the get-go. I even told you, 2026? 8 years ago that they were moving money out of the country to fund, right, terrorist activities. It's all documented, right? So it's not new, right? It's just coming to the surface now. Let's be fair. But I did highlight this because it's not just the Somalis. I mean, we can go into other neighboring areas, other states, and, what other people do. But let's point the fingers, right, correctly, because we talk about how, this community is overrun and they have their Sharia trucks and all this stuff, but we're not looking at the other ones, so I think it's important that you see this because what's not fair? People doing one-sided shit. So let's get on with this. We don't want this one-sided shit anymore. So we should be fair and equal when we're talking smack about people changing the face of America for their benefit. And if you notice, that guy said, well, there's so many Jews in America that pay so many taxes. We should be taking it back because all the Jews in America pay a lot of money. I mean, they also buy our politicians, but that's another story. And our influencers, another story. But see, I'm not hating on the Jews. I'm just pointing out that if they want to ramp up Somali shit, then they should own this shit too. So let's get into it.
You work for Hamas?
I don't want my kids should play in the house of a secular guy.
This is Curious Joel.
You're a
A village of 44,000 Hasidic Jews in upstate New York that primarily speak Yiddish have an average of 7 kids per family. How many kids do most people have out here?
17, 18.
How do they afford 17, 18 kids? It's one of the poorest towns in America, with 40% living beneath the federal poverty line. Many men here are religiously studying the Torah full-time and heavily rely on public assistance and welfare in the form of Medicaid, housing vouchers, food stamps, and cash aid to support their giant families that God commanded them to have. And the village enforces strict gender roles, modest dress codes, and sends their kids to private religious schools. And why is it okay for Jewish people to live together in a homogenous Jew-only community, but it's illegal when white people try to build their own? I pulled up to Curious Joel myself to see what's going on. Welcome to Curious Joel, a traditional community of modesty and values. In keeping with our traditions and religious customs, we kindly ask that you dress and behave in a modest way while visiting our community. This includes wearing long skirts or pants, covered necklines, sleeves past the elbow, use appropriate language, maintain gender separation in all public areas. Thank you for respecting our values. Let's pop in here and say shalom. Lots of people praying. Hi, shalom. Okay, so it says entrance for members only. Not sure what it takes to be a member. What does it take to be a member? Do I have to be Jewish to enter? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the schedule exactly, but 9 o'clock sharp, they're not at work. What is this? Okay, so I guess everyone's praying right now. So you gotta wonder what these people do for employment. You'll notice the Mexicans out here are doing the hard labor, and the Jewish people, I'm not sure what they do. Maybe we can ask this guy. Excuse me, what do most people do for work out here? You don't know? All right, cold shoulder. Question for you, sir. How long do people pray per day?
Maybe 6 hours.
Okay, what do people do for work?
I'm not an user report. We have to...
Okay, what do you do for work? Okay, you don't want to talk? How many hours a day do they pray?
3 hours a day.
Do people have 9 to 5s?
Yes.
Like what industries are they involved in here?
Construction, all other type of industries.
And what do you do?
I'm a student, and also I'm doing home care.
What are you studying?
I'm studying Torah.
Torah?
Yes.
How old are you?
Our holy Torah.
And who pays for education?
I try to work on overtime.
Overtime?
Yes.
Where do you work overtime?
I work home care.
Home care?
Night, yes.
Is it like, do you have kids?
I have kids, yes.
How many kids?
3.
How do you afford to raise 3 kids while being a student?
Because I work very hard. I want to study the Torah. I'm very proud.
How do you afford to study the Torah, though?
God help me.
Does the American taxpayer help you, too?
Also, yes.
Yeah. How many people out here are on like welfare in the form of like housing assistance or Section 8 or EBT, SNAP, Medicare?
Yes, yes, yes.
And that allows you to study the Torah?
Yes.
And raise your kids?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
And how many kids do most people have out here?
17, 18.
How do they afford 17, 18 kids?
They are proud to do what the Torah says, that you need to be multiple and fruitful.
Wow. And do you think there's welfare abuse in the community out here?
No.
No? Because they actually have the kids?
Yes.
They have the kids. Do they get tax credits for the kids?
What they get, but they are all doing to keep our Torah, yes.
Keep the Torah?
Yes.
And what are your thoughts on people out there who can barely afford to have one kid?
If they want, they can have one. But if God's given them more, it's very proud.
Okay, shout out God.
Yes.
Okay.
One thing, we are very against the state of Israel. It's a very big problem for us.
Yeah, so you guys don't approve of a state of Israel before the Messiah comes, right?
Yes, yes. Zionism is not Judaism. It's a very other thing.
Question for you, sir. What do you do for work out here? Are you on the phone? Or are you listening to the radio? Okay. Damn, it's tough to get some answers out of folks. What do you do for work?
Nothing.
How do you make money?
My wife.
Your wife? What does she do for work?
What is this? What?
Interview. Good to meet you. For YouTube. So your wife works and do you study the Torah?
Have a good day.
How many kids do you have?
Have a good day.
How many children do you have? Okay, thank you. Well, that was fascinating. Excuse me, do you study Torah?
Study that?
Torah?
No, no.
What do you do for work? Do you have a job? Does your wife work? Are you a student of the Torah?
Yes.
Do you work a job for money?
I?
Yeah.
No.
Does your wife?
Yes.
She does. Does your wife go to work to make money and you study Torah?
Where are you?
Tyler, good to meet you. I'm just doing a YouTube video about this place. I find it fascinating.
I don't have time. I have to go.
But where are you going if you don't work?
I study.
So you study. And does your wife work? What industry does she work in? Teaching, education,
Teaching.
Children? And how do you afford the kids if you don't work?
My wife.
Your wife? Okay, thank you. Sounds like a great setup. Damn, I might have to get in on that. Excuse me, what do women work at here? What jobs do women work in here? Is it mostly childcare? Okay, cold shoulder. Do you work a job as well as raise the kids? Do the women raise the kids in? Okay, tough to talk to the women out here. How do people afford to have families? So like as you raise baby, do you also go to work at some point? What do you do for work? Do you study the Torah for a living? Do you study the Torah? Do you work a job? No? Does your wife work a job? Are you a student? Do you work? Are you a student? Man, I can't do this anymore. Question for you. Do you study Torah? Do you study the Torah? Excuse me, sir. Do you study the Torah? Hey. Oh, you speak on his behalf? How do you know that? Get on out of here. He said he doesn't want to give an interview. How would he know? Do they communicate telepathically via hive mind? Hi. Tyler, yes. How are you, my friend? How are you doing? Yes.
Wow.
How are you? You want to say hi?
Independent journalist.
Yes.
Lucy, you want to say hi? No.
Okay, how are you doing?
This
Do you want to tell me a little bit about this place?
Sure, we go up here.
Okay.
It's a very nice place.
Yeah, and it's mostly Hasidic Jews?
Yes,
Okay.
it's only Hasidic Jews.
And it's one of the most biggest growing towns, right? By percentage?
It's the biggest in the
Big
United-
families, too.
Big families, right.
How do people afford to have such big families out here?
It's... I'm not saying anything.
What do you mean? How do they have such big families?
We believe in God, that
Believe in God?
created that.
Okay. Hey, thanks for saying hi, my friend.
I don't know who you are.
My name's Tyler Oliveira.
I don't talk to suspicious persons.
How am I suspicious?
I don't know who you are.
Damn, ouch, that hurt my feelings. Do you study Torah? Or do you work a job or own business?
Everybody here works a job.
Well, that's not true. What's up?
They have Torah and they work.
That's not true. That's a lie. That's not true.
Suspicious person.
That's not true. I've talked to people, they said some of them just study the Torah. They told me themselves.
Well, some...
So who's the liar? I understand that. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know who you are.
I'm just asking questions. How many children do you have?
You work for Hamas?
What? I'm journalist. I'm just exploring. YouTube vlogger. I don't work for Hamas. He said, do you work for Hamas? What? Okay, so this is the most beautiful $10 million synagogue right here. It is quite nice. Let's see if anyone wants to talk. Hello. Are most people here rabbis? 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 Are you guys rabbis?
No.
Okay.
What?
Do most of them work as... Yes, hello. I'm asking men what they do for a living out here. Are most people here...
What number?
Oh, just my name, Tyler. I'm just asking Hasidic Jews out here because I know
No. Not for you.
What do you mean?
People are not gonna answer you because...
What do most men do here for work? Is it they study the Torah?
No, most people are working in Amazon like this.
CNN? No, I just have a YouTube channel. The mere presence of a goyim was sufficient to raise suspicion. Question for you. What do most men do for work here? Are they rabbis?
No,
This is working?
No.
What do they do? Because I'm trying to talk to people, just figure out what the main industry is.
A lot of things.
Can you give me some ideas?
Oh, go outside.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to talk to folks like you, how you make your money and afford to raise your families.
Rolf.
What?
54 euros.
But then I finally met this guy who gave me some wisdom.
Everything people do.
What do you do for a living?
Billboards.
How long does the prayer last? And when do people go to work?
People go from 9 o'clock in the morning, from 6 o'clock in the morning until the night.
So how do they pay their bills?
How they pay the bills? By working.
Well, when do they work if they're praying all day?
They're not praying all day. So you have a lot of people coming in the morning and going into work, then coming back to pray. You have a lot of people coming in the morning to pray. They have people just waking up late.
I see,
from
okay.
having a big community.
So you own a billboard company?
Yes.
How do people afford to have like 10 kids out here?
The community is based on this. So
okay, so is it wealthy members of the community give charity?
Yes, mostly. That's the way.
Are most people on Medicaid, SNAP, EBT? Let's be honest.
I don't know. I can't speak for other people.
What about you?
I'm not going to tell about myself.
Okay.
A lot of these folks have business there. Not all of them. Okay. Some of them.
But there's a lot of you guys, right?
Some of them are being supported by community members.
Okay. What's the big industry for women out here? Is it childcare? Because I notice Mexicans seem to work like retail, construction. Many men will tell me my wife works, but I do not.
That's not true.
That's what they told me, though. They themselves.
The first 2 years after they get married.
Okay.
Only the first 2 years.
Okay.
And then they go work. Most men.
Okay, all right. How many kids do you have? I'm going to guess you have 13? They all vote unanimously in favor for it. Look at this. There's a car accident every 5 seconds. Some of the driving out here is horrendous. It's truly terrible. What do the Jewish people here do for work, from what you've seen? Do they just pray, or?
No. So, yes, they pray every single day, and then they work every single day after this happen.
After they pray, they go to work?
Yeah. They drive in a school bus and a transit bus.
Excuse me, gentlemen. What do you guys do for work here? Do you guys have like businesses, like work a job? Do you guys study Torah?
I have a job.
What do you do?
I'm in sales.
Are you lying to me? Just the way you looked at him, I'm just like, what? Is it just what do you do?
I'm doing sales.
What do you sell?
Food.
Why do you keep looking at him? Okay. What food do you sell?
Chocolates.
What? I feel like I'm getting bamboozled right here. I don't understand the look back there. Do most women raise their households and then they work afterwards?
Some, not most.
Some. Okay. Like what percentage? Half?
Maybe half.
Maybe half?
Usually when they study, they do just that.
Okay.
But the ones who work study in the morning and late afternoon. In the evening.
To be fair, I have seen people who work bus driver jobs, some people doing something in the shop, sort of managing the shop. The construction and hard labor seems to be exclusively executed by the Mexicans. Excuse me, miss. Do women work and raise the kids out here?
Sometimes.
Do the men work or do they study the Torah? The sheer density of minivans out here is a phenomenon in and of itself. Excuse me. What do you do for a living? Okay. What do you do for work? What do you do for a living, sir? Tough scene. Excuse me. What do you do for a living? Excuse me, what do you do for work?
A student.
You're a student. You're old, though.
I follow you on YouTube.
There we go. So you gotta answer this puzzle for me then. What do people do for work out here?
We do construction, we do everything.
Do people spend hours praying in the synagogue and then they work afterwards?
Yeah.
Do the women raise the kids and that's all they do, or do they work as well?
They work as well. The men also raise their kids.
Wow.
We just don't bother nobody. Whatever a normal people is doing, we're doing.
Okay.
But we're doing it mostly in the kosher way. Instead of selling to general supermarkets.
I see.
For example, I'm in the kosher food. I sell for kosher supermarkets.
What I'm hearing is they'll gladly take money out of the American tax base to support their lifestyle, and if they do start a business, it'll most likely accommodate and service Jews.
We don't bother nobody. We don't kill.
This is true. No violence out here.
No violence.
No drugs.
No drugs. No stealing. No raping. No nothing.
I've only seen bad drivers, though.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because we have so much. We have like 10 children. We're all too busy. That's why we were upset by driving. We're getting nervous. That's the biggest violence you'll find by us. One day a year, it's called Purim. That
party.
We dance. People getting drunk. And the biggest good thing about that we're giving donations for other people.
Oh, that's right.
Do you know how much money goes out in this village?
I'm gonna guess millions.
Millions? Yeah. And that's without being so polite, keeping open the doors. That's a thing on
Gentile behavior.
Yeah, right. No, not Gentile. It's you're not going, I can see it.
I'm goyim.
No, you're not going. You're a Yid. Going back, you're a Yiddish kid.
Okay.
Are you a Yid?
I'm goyim.
Can you show me your license?
I know that you guys don't support Zionism, or you guys don't support the Jewish state until the Messiah is here, right?
Exactly. They are not the Jewish people. They are not us, and we are not them. They are not Jewish at all. The state of Israel is a secular state, same as Japanese, but they call themselves Jewish people. They don't obey no laws. They're taking out kids from the yeshiva, sending them to draft to army to fight Hamas, which they create the problem. If they would listen to the Torah, the whole war wouldn't be.
How do people afford to have so many kids here?
They don't afford, we help each other. We opened 2 groceries called Maitiv. We're giving them 50% discount. Just giving you one example.
Yeah, I could get a discount too?
Yes, because the store is officially made for everybody.
The one thing I am curious about though is the welfare use.
Both the federal or whatever the state, they're both spending equals money for other people. The only difference is over here, the money is being spent for us in our mouth to eat, and in Bronx it's being spent for the NYPD to fight.
Are you on welfare?
No.
Do you know anyone on welfare here?
I won't comment on that question.
Come on.
How should I answer the
You own a shop. You own a supermarket basically. So you would know. Give me a rough estimate if you can.
No.
Why not?
I'm not.
Why?
I'm not gonna comment.
Why? Why is that the stickler?
Because I can't answer you as simple.
You can give me a rough estimate though, just ballpark.
What do you think? And
I'm gonna guess 33%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's probably about on average throughout the U.S. That's not terrible.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to figure out how people afford to raise 10 plus kids on sometimes single income households.
We don't spend so much money for each kid.
Humble living. Okay. Like how many kids per family?
10, 12, 14, 15.
Oof, that's huge. And how do people afford to have such big families out here?
Working.
Working? Like, what do people do for work out here?
What to do? Brokerage.
Brokerage?
Construction.
Rats. Hey, let's see it. Can I try it on? Okay. Thank you. Whoa. It's heavy. On its spins.
Snap maybe would give $1,000 a month for a family, but you go in the grocery, check the prices, you can't afford, you can't feed 10 people plus a father and mother, 12 people from $1,000 a month. So it's just a push, like it's a help. It's not covering.
That's true.
So, and also, me personally, I told you I'm working in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
I don't have Medicaid. I have insurance by my employer.
Agreed,
If
yeah.
you take all business people, successful business people, just from Kid as Joel, their taxes covers everything that we take back. There's someone, Kiva Klein, he's a big developer. I'm sure he pays a lot of taxes. You see over there, Epstone. They're compensating with their tax payments, and then they're compensating with they have charity that they help out a lot of people here. The Jewish people that you claim, they're employing like over 1,000 people. They have a big building in Manhattan. They pay a lot of property tax. They have warehouses in New Jersey, and they're a very fair company. They're honest. And even though they are the job providers.
So you'd say overall, the Hasidic Jewish community is a financial positive.
Contributing to the United States.
He was basically arguing that the minority of extremely wealthy Jewish businessmen that employ a ton of people elsewhere easily compensates for the amount of money residents here took out of the system in various forms of welfare.
How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing well. It's a little cold.
Yeah, I know. What's going on?
Nothing much?
No?
How can I help you?
I was just called to talk to you. So people are a little nervous to be recording with the masks and stuff, so...
It's cold. The mask stays on, you know?
I get it. You know what I mean? I just got called here, so I got to come by and...
For sure.
Do my due diligence, you know what I mean?
100%, sir.
Okay. So what are you recording for?
Just personal stuff.
I got you. It's public, so I know you can.
If you've never been to a community like this, right?
Sure.
You're unknown.
Sure.
It's unusual activity. Suspicious for you to have a camera at people's faces wherever they go.
You guys are going to be upset that they're here, right? And you guys are going to call us over here. Just don't engage with them. You know what I mean? If that's what you guys
Yeah, no one's forced to get...
Some people are going to get upset that they're here.
Well, welcome to the United States of America.
I don't want to get recorded.
This is the United States of America. Then just walk away. Just walk away. Jesus Christ. Okay, this is some bullshit, you know it. You don't get extra privileges. No. This is bullshit, you know it.
Yeah, they're going to be upset and calling about you guys, and you guys don't want us harassing you.
Well, why would you harass us if we're exercising our First Amendment, right?
Because you follow people.
Exactly. It's a rhetorical question. There's no means to harass us because we're doing nothing wrong.
No. Okay. There was a terrorist attack in Australia Sunday. You come in front of synagogues with a covered face. People are allowed to get
I get the face.
No, I'm answering his question, but he didn't ask you the question, right? He was talking to me right now.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
What I told you too
Sure.
was if you guys are going to call about each other and have these kinds of interactions, right? No, we had the fine conversation. Just leave each other alone.
All right, this is excessive. Obviously, we can talk to anyone who wants to talk. So this is the equivalent of a doctor. Come in here, get yourself checked out. So is this a hospital or like a doctor clinic?
It's a medical facility, so there's lots of like doctor's offices. Okay.
Is this mostly for the Jewish community? Do I have to be Jewish to get health care?
Do not have to.
Okay. Are most people here on like Medicaid?
A lot of patients are.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. She said a lot of patients are on Medicaid, which is in conflict with what they're telling me in the synagogue. And they're having so many kids, Curious Joel's population doubled from 2010 to 2024. How many kids on average does each family have out here?
Between 2 and really unpredictable.
Like 2 to 10?
Yeah.
How many do you have?
3.
3. Okay, that's pretty small for out here, right?
I'm still in the younger age.
How old are you?
27.
Okay, young man. What do people do for work out here?
There's all kind of work. There's a lot of educated people, there's everything. Anyways, I gotta go work. Thank you so much.
Okay, what do you do for work, by the way?
I'm doing a few things. I'm driving buses, I'm working in the mechanic shop, I'm working a lot in the office.
That's a lot of jobs.
Yes.
So if you want to talk about people living in a theocratic, ethnic enclave, then look no further. Curious Joel is an example of that, and then some. When people are talking about Dearborn, Michigan this, Dearborn, Michigan that, this is an example of only Jews living here, and a lot of them are tapping into welfare benefits.
You work for. So this isn't a dig, right? But this is a let's be fair, right? And I really like that video because what he said was, there's a lot of people talking about these communities that are created. Right there on the city sign, they say that you have to wear long skirts and be modest and stuff. It's not Saudi Arabia, it's America, right? And this is what's important, that when you point the fingers, you can't do it when you're in a glass house. Now, Hasidic Jews don't go well with Bibi at all. So heck, right? But we need to understand that there's a lot of these communities that have exploded. Now, we're only shining the light on, the Muslims because they're more anti-American in the way of life, as per how it's being portrayed, which isn't necessarily fair, right? And as a Christian myself, I find it appalling that people just target one population. And you all know the one thing I can't stand is radical Islamic terrorism. That is the core of everything. But there's also radical Christian terrorism and radical Jewish terrorism and radical Buddhist terrorism. But we don't hear a lot about that because nobody wants to talk about that. So it's really important that we play fair when we're talking about things, or else we look dumb, right? And then we also look biased. So it gives merit to the bullshit of that they're getting singled out. Now, again, I'm speaking from a position where I exposed the Somali fraud and the Yemeni fraud. We haven't even gotten to that yet. When is that going to be public? 8 years ago, when I told you that they were collecting all this money from the government and they were taking it out of the country, flying out too. And from Seattle, Washington, right? Michigan, Minneapolis. I've said it before. But 8 years later, it's news. No, it's clickbait. And it's extremely interesting to see how now we're getting agencies calling out big influencer accounts for saying things for clicks. I think I have a screenshot of that somewhere. I have to find it. Look at this screenshot. Isn't this interesting? That's very interesting. And what about this one? This one says, this was Freeland when she found out the court said they violated the Charter of Rights and Freedoms when they invoked the Emergencies Act. Her, along with Trudeau, felt it was wise to waste even more time and money, so they filed an appeal. They lost again in court. Now what? If the government can get away with violating the Charter with zero consequences, what is the point of it? Charters. See, Canada. Oh my God. I want to get into that, but I can't. I've been on for almost 3 hours. I cannot. But let me see if I can find that video. I cannot. But I think, no, not that one. Not that one. Well, Well, how about that? Now, here's the tweet that I was referring to. Give me a second. I just found it and lost it. There it is. Ready? U.S. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement said, why lie for clicks? Convicted child sex predator Geraldo Luna's Campos, a criminal illegal alien from Cuba, attempted to take his own life while he was detained at Camp East Montana detention facility. The security staff immediately intervened to save his life. Campos violently resisted the security staff and continued to attempt to take his life. During the ensuing struggle, Campos stopped breathing and lost consciousness. Medical staff was immediately called and responded. After repeated attempts to resuscitate him, EMTs declared him deceased on the scene. This account is a huge account on X, and she did it for clicks. Again, you should be very careful who you follow. Consistency obviously is key, and we should be very careful. Now, having said that, I'd like to say something. While everyone's hating on Dan Bongino, I'll do you this one. There are a couple of people that have been stained, like Michael Cohen and others, right? But also people like Dan Bongino. They're the honeypot networks. And so, the one thing people should fear is when they're being followed by big personas for no reason. Many people can see that I'm being followed by very big personas. I don't sit here and advertise it. If you see it, you see it and you know it. But the majority of the people that are big personas that follow me, I actually know. So I pay attention to the follows I get and who follows me. That way I know whose dummy account it is, what network has spurred up new personas, and who wants to communicate with me that I know. They just do it with a simple follow. So we should be very, very careful of who we follow and who we pay attention to. So, I've said this before, right? If you remember, I think I mentioned it when they actually exposed the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was coaching Congress when they were questioning Michael Cohen. And then you have to think to yourself, why would Michael Cohen get humiliated to that point, right? That's very important. And it's like sometimes you make bad choices, but sometimes the bad choices are scripted bad choices. And sometimes you work in an office and then you take a seat back not because you can't do the job, not because you don't want to do the job, not because you're corrupt, but because from the outside, you can do a better job collecting all the honeypots together. And can we just give an applause to the CIA with the fucking Erica Kirk shit? Like, it is insane. Insane, isn't it? But I'm going to stay away from that because the only way to win is to actually not play the game. So stop playing the game. Focus on what's important. And shit's actually happening. Okay, so since people want to talk about Canada, I'm going to tell you about the joint statement of China-Canada leaders. Now, if you remember, back in 2016, this is where I got with confirmation that China had military bases in Canada. So check this out. We're talking 2016. I live in North Dakota, and I can either drive to Minneapolis to go to church with my kids to enjoy Greek Easter, but instead I drove to Winnipeg. And on the way here, I got to pet quarter horses and whatnot. And I smuggled some melon ice cream and some veal chops that I got from there. So I said they were gifts from grandma, which in fairness, the cookies and the eggs and stuff that I brought back were from Grandma Helen there. But anyway, I digress. So after I crossed the border, I noticed that the speed limit is 60. But that's 60 kilometers. And I was doing 100 miles an hour because I wanted to move faster because it was stretch. And I remember once I crossed the border, and it wasn't like a big crossing like Grand Forks or anything. It was like by Turtle Lake. And so I crossed over, and just as I crossed over, like once you go through Border Patrol, to go to Winnipeg, you go up maybe 3/4 of a mile, and then you make a right and you take the road all the way straight. It's just one straight shot. And so I remember when I got to the stop sign, suggestions, of course, I look to my left and I see something weird. I see something indicative of the CCP, and I'm not going to mention what it is. It's not like they had a fucking Chinese flag. So then I tell my kids, hey, I need to get some cigarettes. And Phoebe was like, do you have Canadian dollars? And I was like, it's okay. I'm going to use my debit card. It's fine. So when I went down that, instead of the stop sign this way, I went down the highway that way. I could see where that vehicle had turned, which was very discreetly marked. And there was this huge place, and there were actually, and I observed it with my own eyes, three Chinese actual fucking soldiers opening up where, like, this, it wasn't a barn, it was like it almost looked like hangar, but it wasn't a hangar, so that the car could enter. And I just went right past it and was hoping to find a gas station, which I did. And then I was asked to pay $12.50. And I was like, fuck that. That's crazy. That's extortion. Because, they're $5 US dollars in North Dakota at the time. And I was like, no, holy shit. I should have brought cigarettes with me. And then I did an about face. So I remembered on the way back to pay attention again. Now we're talking, it's like about a mile away from the border. Okay. And this is why I say our northern border is completely compromised. That's where I put one and one together when I saw some property shit that didn't make sense, of the guy, Doug Burgum, who was running for governor, right? Get this, that had purchased property that was part of a CCP investment firm. Now he's, in the cabinet. So that's very interesting. So the joint statement, China-Canada leaders, was at the invitation of His Excellency Li Kang, Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China. The Right Honorable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, paid an official visit to China from the 14th to the 17th of January 2026. During the visit, His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China, met with the Prime Minister Carney. Premier Li Kang held talks with Prime Minister Mark Carney. His Excellency Zhao Leji, Chairman of the Standing Committee and the National People's Congress, also met with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Leaders exchanged views on China-Canada relations, as well as regional, international issues and common interests in a depth, pragmatic, and constructive manner. Leaders reaffirmed the principles and policies that have guided China-Canada relations. Canada reaffirmed its long-standing commitment to the One China policy. The two sides committed advancing the China-Canada new strategic partnership in the spirit of mutual respect, equality, and mutual benefit to bring more positive outcomes to both peoples. Leaders welcome progress made in recent bilateral discussions, yada, 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 yada. Funny thing is, the Canadians don't need visas to go to China, and the Chinese don't need visas to come to Canada. And it's like, oh shit, it's all making sense now, isn't it? How the Chinese have taken over Canadian Pacific Railway, Canada Pacific, which should not be traveling as a first-class railroad within the United States for that reason, because that's how they brought COVID. But that's another story that I've already told. I feel like a broken record. People can go to ToriSaid.com and figure it out. And might I add, I'm going to make something clear to you. Do you know why the United Kingdom went back on its Brexit deal? One thing that I wrote about in my articles about the AI governance and what's really at stake and what we're really fighting, right, which is AI governance, is that China actually built the infrastructure, the foundational infrastructure for digital surveillance and digitizing identities for the European Union. That includes the United Kingdom. Now, when the United Kingdom actually pulled out of the European Union, they said, clean cut Brexit, no more, we're not participating. But what they didn't realize is that already baked into their systems as a nation, they could not function because they were already tied in with the CCP software and the CCP regulations and the CCP everything for the United Kingdom. Therefore, their economy would fail and their security would also fail. So let's see what Carney had to say. Just 1 second. Listen to this.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be. And let's be clear what we're talking about first and foremost, which is what are the trading, what is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be? How important are bilateral deals such as the one we're developing, plurilateral deals, if I can use that term, Trans-Pacific Partnership, potential linkages between Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU. Where is financial regulation, payment system regulation going to fit into that? All of these aspects, I mean, use a fancy word, like the architecture, the multilateral system that has been developing these is being eroded, to use a polite term, undercut, use another term. So the question is, what gets built in that place? How much of a patchwork is it? How much is it just on a bilateral basis? Or where do like-minded countries in certain areas? So like-minded countries, just to be clear, doesn't mean you agree on everything. Aspects, for example, on digital trade or agricultural trade, climate finance as another area, to move into areas of geostrategy, geosecurity. You will have different coalitions that are formed. So what this partnership does is in areas, for example, of clean energy, conventional energy, agriculture, as we were just talking about, and financial services, which we've talked less about, but the evolution of the global financial system, the role of the renminbi over time, the evolution of cross-border payments. I know it all sounds very dry, except for your organization, which I think takes an interest in it. These are important elements of how the system is going to work. And look, the expectation is that rather than these being developed necessarily through the IMF, WTO, and other multilateral organizations, it is going to be coalitions that develop them, not for the world, but for subsectors.
How amazing is that? He kind of told you, well, we don't know what this new world order looks like, but we're talking about infrastructure and digitizing and all this stuff. The stuff that I've been telling you about for a long, long time. Now, AI isn't a threat. We will close with Melania Trump. But first, we should remember this. Okay, that's number one. We need to remember that. And number two, here's a fun video.
Recent lab findings has the CDC warning liberal women to avoid pink and blue hair dye. We take you now to the CDC.
The dyes not only led to an increase in aggressive behavior, but the mice also developed unusual vocal capabilities.
Trump, Trump,
patriarchy! Stop it. So before we close today with our amazing First Ladies discussion on AI, which I'm going to play for you, I want you all to know that things are actually happening. I hope speaking quickly, on the topic and trying to educate the public, kind of helps make things understanding, like the dynamics that we're experiencing right now, specifically the changes that are happening. And so for whatever spooks are assigned, and I thank you guys. I thank you very, very much for allowing me to freely bring the truth. May God have you well. And I'm sorry I didn't, I was a little bit jet lagged to get the hint on the passport then. But it's all making sense. Like I said, yesterday was astonishing because the only thing I could think of is, oh my God, I have so much shit to do. Now we've got to monitor like almost 20 of these calls that are happening at the same time. That was interesting. They happened at the same time. Now, next week, tomorrow we're supposed to be showcasing the influencer videos. I think tomorrow we're only going to do a small part of it because I'd like to run with it on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd more sporadically so people can digest it. All of these videos were created by you, the people, and how you see influence operations. Because as I said earlier, and as I've been saying for a long time, the truth really doesn't matter in today's world. It's perception. You know, you see idiots like that alpha guy, like he's a fucking idiot and supposedly is important. You see people analyzing Tina Peters' case while they're trying to say whatever. What they don't understand is the foundations of what's happening. Now, I will analyze that for you on Sunday. It's only very entertaining to watch, you know, what other people are interpreting. I was extremely proud to see our amicus words actually used by the judges to say if she's going to come out, she may, pertaining to a new case being done. See, these judges aren't just going to toss it all out. They made reference to the way Barrett, you know, made his closing statements on her sentencing, which I brought up in our amicus because it was important. How is she going to do it if she doesn't have the job? He literally said that. How is this? How is that? Why are they using this verbiage? Why are they condemning her like for election when she wasn't even put on trial for that? And the shit that they put her on trial for was bullshit. Again, listen to your president. You know, I'm very grateful for the Department of Justice and aiding in getting this case done correctly and advocating for the right things. It is very important that we point out the flaws in the law and that we actually can have concrete justice. So the hearing was great. We'll talk about it on Sunday night together, where we can have like a coffee time and just talk about what's happening. Because I am expecting things to kind of be a little bit tomorrow. I know a lot of people are expecting, you know, Iran, blah, 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 blah. But I told you the day after we got Maduro, he was extracted. So he's not even there. So this is all a show. Okay. Everything is a show. And I've told you where the real war is, and that's China, while everyone's telling you everything else and telling you to focus only on Somalis. Now, that's just to recoup our funds, but that's only the beginning. Low-hanging fruit for the ones that are like apes that don't get it, that like to have one target and go, goo, 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 we're getting you. That's not the way you get shit done, but it's the way your influencers are influencing you to be. Pounding the chest and acting like you're winning when you're only going after one small portion. If you think that's bad, wait till you get to the Medicare, Medicaid, and Section 8 fraud in New York State. And you know, a lot of people are like, oh, they just ding Democrat states all the time. And it's like, bitch, that's where most of the fraud is happening because you have a larger population. The fraud in Ohio is worse. We have murderers. We've got the wet fall up in us, and we've got the center, a pedophile center, right here in Ohio. Okay. And we've got a corrupt Secretary of State that, if you remember when I ran, is like, when did he last audit it to see the businesses that are running through fucking Ohio? Like the Somali guy who's coordinating all of those things. When did he ever audit that fucking Ukrainian bank that's registered as a fucking church that doesn't allow American citizens to fucking sign up? When did he audit welcoming America, utilizing an HHS building without paying rent and using taxpayer dollars to staff an NGO that's bringing in more of these migrants? Never. But now he wants to be state auditor so he can cook the books even better. Like, fuck this shit. Somebody run me like a horse. Run me like a fucking horse. I will run for you. I can run faster now that I shed some weight. Now, guess what, guys? So I didn't know how, I just wanted to say, like, on a break here, like personal stuff. So you know where I get my peptides for my copper and shit, right? For my injections. So I am going to be getting that thymosin alpha. I'm really excited about that. But I went on to like go see to get it through like Klarna or Affirm. So I was doing that whole process and I noticed, holy shit, one of you motherfuckers is coming on vacation with me and we're getting reimbursement for travel. So you don't even have to pay for the airfare. I'm actually pretty stoked. I'm going on a blind vacation in October and I'm actually going on vacation. Like, I'm excited. So I just wanted to tell you that. So that's exciting. And for all of you out there that, are also trying to rectify the garbage that we have in our bodies from food and water that's tainted. And we're giving ourselves that, extra kick. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's expensive, like $200 every so many months. I make it stretch, but your health is priceless. And just look at me. I mean, okay, obviously I had a liver issue, but I've actually like gone backwards in aging. And this isn't a filter. People that have seen me up close say the same shit. Holy shit. I do have a very good esthetician, right? She's fantastic. I highly suggest people do dermaplaning once a month properly, not with the shit at home. I've done it at home once by myself and I had a red ass face because I went too deep. So it's really hard to do it. She's fantastic. I urge you guys to find someone that can, like, once a month as a woman, treat yourself, or a man too. Okay. So yeah, and sign up under the people that have signed up to actually make a living on this. I am not enrolled with anyone, so I get points and I do get discounts. So thank you for that. That actually helps. Hey, Phoebe. Hi. So I do get discounts, so that actually helps, but you should help each other because everyone can get in and get on that train or whatever, because apparently people can make a lot of money from it. What else? How are you?
What? I just came back from dinner.
Oh, you had a date today and now you have a date with me. Oh, you're tired. You've been working all day.
I actually had tried an espresso martini for the first time.
Oh no.
I had a lot of energy.
It was non-alcoholic, I'm assuming.
For legal reasons, it was non-alcoholic. Because that is what an espresso martini is. Just espresso. No vodka.
So, me and Phoebe have a date with a television. We're going to watch can we just watch another Chinese drama? Guys, I'm putting it out to the universe. I want a sugar daddy emperor with like the little thing there.
Sell feet pics.
Oh, wait. Why is it moving? Why does the camera keep moving? Why does the camera keep moving?
Oh, it's what Apple does now. It's an update.
Really?
Yeah.
So it just tracks my face?
Yeah. Is that faggot biscuit behind you?
Yeah. There he is.
Hi, Vicky.
He's right there. He ate my meatball.
Oh.
When I was trying to have dinner. So he stole my food.
Hey, guys.
Right? Thanks, my sunshine. She was out with her boyfriend on a date.
I
so.
tell a different story.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
So we're going to watch some Chinese.
Yeah, K-drama sounds really good.
Yeah, I know it does. I can't wait to go watch one of them. So I'm putting it out there to the universe. I'd like an emperor that's tall, that's really good with swords, and that has no problem with me buying handbags. What the hell? How many did you have? This is not okay.
What?
No, this is not good.
What's not good?
That's not good. This is not good. And she knows I hate drinking. And my cat's here too, so the whole family is. So we'll all watch Melania Trump as a closing. Okay, give me a second. Here we go.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Yuan. Zoom's leadership in the tech ad space is unmatched. Your support directly advances my mission to prepare America's next generation to use AI to enhance their education and ultimately their careers. Indeed, this is an incredible time. We are living in the age of imagination. The age of imagination is a new era powered by artificial intelligence, where one's curiosity can be satisfied almost magically in seconds. You are fortunate to have the capability to fulfill your dreams through the power of learning, with AI serving as the primary engine for creative exploration. History reminds us that curiosity is the driving force behind every great achievement. The world's greatest minds, our writers, architects, scientists, and painters, all had endless interest about human nature, and they all questioned that which was yet to be answered. Are you ready to produce your own movie? Do you want to build the next dress to impress empire? Have you ever wondered how to become the next master artist? Create your own song. Every giant, at some point in time, questions the status quo. Their singular vision pushes humanity in a new direction. Artificial intelligence is changing today's world, and your curiosity should serve as a driving force. For the first time in history, the young girl dreaming of becoming a fashion designer and the young boy who wants to stand up his school animated superhero series can do so from their own home. Artificial intelligence provides all the tools needed to implement your creative vision today. You can develop movie characters, scripts, fashion, music, art, the entire ecosystem, all with AI. But what do you need to start? You need to harness your imagination. In the new era, the most powerful skill is knowing what to ask, why it matters, and how to think beyond the worst answer. I encourage you to be stubbornly curious, think outside the box, and question everything. Creators must stretch their minds to think differently. The world of possibility is endless, and AI is extending the conceptual in ways never dreamed of before. In the past, memorization unlocked opportunity. Today, your curiosity will open new doors to meaning, innovation, and leadership. But we must remember, although artificial intelligence can generate images and information, only humans can generate meaning and purpose. Deep thinking, patience, and staying curious are where purpose begins. Today, I urge you to take action. Use AI to unlock new parts of your imagination. Lead with your ideas, stay sharp, but remember, never surrender your thinking to AI. Choose to let your imagination drive your intellectual progress, but never use AI as a quick solution. Be intellectually honest with yourself. Use AI as a tool, but do not let it replace your personal intelligence. Pursue understanding with passion like no generation before. Make an impact. Knowledge is power. Nobody can take it away from you. Good luck, and I wish you a successful year ahead.
So, First Lady Melania's words are something that I've been kind of trying to iterate, but she's done it in a very eloquent and succinct manner. The danger isn't AI itself, it's surrendering your creativity and your thoughts to it. It is a great tool to help you learn. Now you look naked on the thing because they can't see your dress.
Oh.
So don't help people feed it. So AI is very important, but human ingenuity cannot be replicated. So it's important that all of us utilize it as a tool to become smarter and to be able to bring our creativity to life. So I thank all of you. And now I'm going to go have my date with my daughter. And yeah, that's about it. So good night, everyone, from both of us here. And let's play a song. Let's see. I don't know which song, though. And it's not Puerto Rico here, so it's Ohio.
It is Puerto Rico.
It's Ohio.
No, I drank in Puerto Rico, guys. I just came back from a flight, so completely legal to drink in Puerto Rico. And it's completely legal to drink as long as you're not caught. It's not my responsibility if they don't ID me.
Like, yeah, so like, yeah, you all know when you have that 20-something, right? There we go. Hold on, I'm trying to find a good one.
Guys, I drink responsibly.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Let me...
God forbid I have wine with steak.
Hold on. Where is it? Do you have a nice date?
Yeah.
I want to go out on a date, too.
I love my boyfriend. He's so handsome.
I'm trying to find a really nice song.
And so sweet.
Let's see. Hey, where's a really good song? This one.
My boyfriend is so handsome, guys.
Okay, here we go. Have a great night, guys.
Good night, guys.
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? And I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel because Chaz did it. Watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? And I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel because Chaz did it. Watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? And I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel because Chaz did it. Watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I have no props. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell.
Is this